coming out tonight, as well as just being a part of a night like this. As mundane and as routine as it may feel, a lot of times for the athletes, they feel like, okay, well, I gotta go, come, dress up, be nice and everything. It really does mean a lot moving forward. As you parents know, you if you ever did sports or did anything in your childhood, or adolescence, and you had a parent or a guardian or a grandparent or somebody there for you on an awards night, it's awesome. So I want to thank you guys for being here. I also want to thank all of you coaches. As you guys know, as everyone knows, I would think I came in late to the party a little bit officially. Um, Soccer and volleyball had already had games, and so I kind of hit the ground running and falling and tumbling and picking back up and then falling again. And so I told a lot of you coaches that basketball is typically my autopilot season. That's what I grew up doing. That's my whole life. It's been my life forever. And while it wasn't perfectly autopilot for me this year, I was still learning the ropes a little bit. You parents and you coaches made my life so much better. And I think that's one thing that I've learned here at New Hope. Even during my interview process, that they said it's a family here, and I said, okay, yeah, I get it. It's a family. I get it. That's what all athletics is, right? It's a family, and I got to really understand that obviously through the fall and winter, kind of solidified that in my mind that New Hope Christian Academy, whether you're here as a student, a homeschooler, a parent, administration, coach, whoever you are, if you're affiliated with New Hope Christian Academy, you're part of the family. And I found that out immediately as I walked through the door. Again, thank you. But I'm excited to see what's ahead. But tonight's not for ahead; it's for what just happened this season. Um, you student athletes, you're incredible. From cheer, from middle school girls, boys, high school. Even though some of our seasons didn't turn out as well as we hoped, you guys made this season so excitable and so amazing for me to be able to be here for my first season, and hopefully many to come. But without further ado, I want to start tonight and bring up Brian McAllister, middle school girls head coach. But yeah, I'm just going to hand it to you. You're going to figure it out.
Before I start, I just want to say that the other night we had a fundraiser, and I'm going to suggest in the future we select a couple of people to cook some stuff for us at this, because we had some cinnamon rolls the other night that I think brought in like $176. So I didn't get to taste them, but I do know that a mother of someone on my team made them, and I was never told that she had these abilities to cook this stuff. I did hear that maybe there might be some floating around here tonight, but they must have been good. So maybe in the future, that's something we consider. Putting together a slush fund, at least put together $76 and get some of these cinnamon rolls. I know we got a lot to go through, so we'll just let's bring up. First of all, let me get three girls come up here, and then I'll explain why they're up here. Give me Ruby, Lucy, and Tessa. Okay, at the middle school level, for many years now, we've been associated with the Cole League, which is what Central Ohio Athletic League. Is that what it is? And they do a really good job of putting together all-star games at the end of the season. So these girls, based on where you finish in the league, you get so many players on the team. And these are the three girls that were able to represent us this year. I wasn't able to go. I had a new grandson that was born, and that same day, so I didn't get to go. But I did get reports back that they represented us well, just like anywhere we go with anything, boys, girls, they always represent on the court, both athletically and in the ways we'll talk about here in a little bit, some of these other core values things that I did get good reports that they represented well. So congratulations, ladies. Okay, first award, individual award would be the offensive player of the year. On our team, this isn't gonna be a surprise. Ruby, come on up. Ruby lost. Ruby, she averaged about 10 points a game this year. She scored, we played 16 games. She scored 160 points and everyone else scored 157. So as a coach, that's not the ratio that you want, but that's where we're at. And we did it. I forget which game it was, but we did have one game where it was Ruby 15 and Cypress 12, or something to that effect. And she was the only one that did. So she has the good thing about Ruby is she has the skill set to score points. But she's also one of our hardest workers, and she's also one that wants to learn and wants to be coached. So that you'll hear a lot from her in years to come. Thank you. Next, defensive player of the year. Willow Saba. So, as Coach Dave and I talked about these awards, and he's the one that brought this name up, and I was like, yes, that is great. If you notice, uh, we don't have a lot of numbers in girls basketball, and I've beat myself in the head since I've been a coach. You know, however many years of girls, I don't know what it is, but sometimes I think it has to do with you know, we take for granted how hard it is to put that ball in that hoop. Okay, and girls, I think maybe sometimes get a little intimidated by that, and think, especially when they're young, that maybe they can't shoot real well, and they think that there isn't a place for them on a basketball team. Well, Willow, I had asked for all the weeks, you needed heights or something at some point for a program, and I found out that Willow was 4'9". That's not very tall in any league that you play in, but she showed us that defense is something that it doesn't take. It doesn't take special skills to like dribbling a basketball, shooting a basketball. There are things in basketball that take a certain skill set. Not that she doesn't have that, but she took the whole concept of playing defense to another level and was aggressive and ends up getting this award. And there was one game my son had come to watch us play, and she did something. I don't even remember what it was, but he asked me after the game. He says, "That girl, man, her name's Saba." I said, "It is." Why? He said, "Well, I have a brother on the soccer team, and I look just like him. So I don't know if it's an aggressive thing or what it is, but he knew what her last name is." So defensive player of the year, Willis Saba. Lucy Ratcliffe. This is another one. I was quite surprised. She's grown. I found a piece of paper. I've been following Lucy. I found a piece of paper on my desk today, where back in the day when I knew we were going to have to be recruiting players, and I had a list of like New Hope upper players, and Lucy's name was on this list, and when she was in the first grade. So I still have that memory of Lucy out there running around playing upward. Um, but she's always had a passion for the game. You look for certain, every coach has their own, criteria of what they like in a player, what qualities they want. And, Lucy just has all those things that, a coach on the floor, someone that wants to understand what you want as a coach, wants to know. One thing we really preach, from a skill standpoint is when we do drills, everything we do has a purpose. And I think sometimes players will go through the motions and they don't always understand what the purpose of the drill is. And so we always make sure that when we're doing a drill is, this is what we're working on. We want to make sure we're doing drills that have multiple things we work on. And and she's always the one that's asking, okay, what are we working on here? What do we need to, why are we doing this? What are we trying to accomplish in this? What, she wants to understand. She wants to make sure the other girls understands. And I always know she's going to ask questions about, okay, for this drill, we're doing this, but in the game, it might be a little different. This is why we're doing it, right? And so she's always, it's what it's what I like. It's what I like is she conveys that to the other ones, and that's why the coaches award gives some respect. Okay, this is my favorite. It's my favorite for a couple of reasons. Being the girls' coach, I get to go first, so I get to kind of explain this. And I get excited about it for two reasons. I get excited because of the criteria and because of who it's named after. I've always said since we renamed this that as long as I was here, I was gonna sing the praises of Mike Fluhart. Because anyone in this building, if you've got a kid that's going to high school here, if you've got a kid that's playing sports here, if you have a kid that has been involved with upwards, any of that stuff, Mike Fluhart's the reason. I mean, he's the one that had the vision. He's the one that pushed it. And it's no mistake that the award's named after him. He was a great mentor of mine. He was the leadership he showed was just, I can't say enough about him, but it excites me to be able to tell you all about it. So when I'm long gone, hopefully someone remembers it, why it is, but it is what it is. Second thing that excites me about it is the criteria for it. And this is the award that, the other awards the coaches vote on. This is the one that we still have the players vote on. And so after the season, for our team, we got together, we ate some pizza, and we went over the core values. And I'm sure 95% of you in here know this document. It's one of my favorite documents next to the Declaration of Independence and Constitution, all that stuff. This is one of my favorite in the Bible, but this is one of my favorite documents for a couple of reasons. I mean, if you don't know the story behind this, how this was created, you need to talk to Coach Rose or one of his 12 assistant coaches, and one of them can give you the story of how it came about. Because I truly believe this is God-inspired document. It was put together by statesmen. It was put together. It wasn't something that was put together in a 15-minute meeting. It was something that took what 6 weeks, about 6 weeks to put together. There's a group of middle school kids. You look through this. This is not a middle school document. Okay, I've read middle school work. This isn't it. Okay, so I'm a firm believer that this is something inspired by God, and it needs to continue, and it excites me because it just goes through. And if you haven't seen it, it's family, character, passion, commitment, and class. And so what we do is we, at least when we get the girls, my team, I make sure the girls know that this award, the Statesman Award, it's not a most valuable player. It's not who gets the most rebounds. It's not who. It's the person that has the most of those qualities. None of us are ever going to be 5 out of 5 on all 5 of those qualities. Some of us might be a 4 with passion. We might be a 5 with family. It excites me because Mike Fluhart was all those things. I mean, he was a 5 without 5 out of all those, and he had nothing to do with that document. But we're looking for the girl that best has all those qualities. And if we're going to send her out into the community, we want someone where we don't care that we're sending our leading scorer or defensive player of the year or anything. We want the person that's going to represent those core values. When they go out in the community and they say New Hope girls basketball, this is the person this is who they want to be. This is who we want them to be. So for this year, 2025-26, Mike Fluhart Senior, Lady Statesman of the Year, Tess Anderson. That's all for me.
Thank you, Coach. Now, super loud. All right, well, he's already up here. Ladies and gents, Coach Jamie King of the middle school boys basketball.
All right, well, good evening, and if I can have four boys come up here, Aiden, Hawk, Griffin, and Shep. Come on up. We'll start with our Coal League representatives. And I didn't cheat and pick four. I actually only had three. But we had a little bit of an interesting situation where we had our three selected, and one went and got deathly ill on us. And so we had another step up that was super competitive as well. And so these four gentlemen, who are fine young men, represent us in our Coal League and went and did a great job for us. And so I wanted to recognize them tonight as being our Coal All-Star League representatives. So we have Hayden Wilcox, Hawk Hines, Griffin Wilcox, and Shepherd Jan. So let's give these gentlemen a round. You can have a seat. All right. Our next award will be for our Offensive Player of the Year. And one of the things that we talked about a lot this year was the phrase of "I can't, but we can," which led to the idea of "I can't, but he can." And so it was kind of awkward for us to kind of think about this idea of individual awards because we did talk so much about, listen, the only reason one player can score is because the team, right? Nobody can go out there on their own and make it all happen on their own. Same thing with defense. And so we really didn't talk this season at all. As a matter of fact, we hit the scorebook quite a bit because I didn't want the boys taking a peek and looking at it and seeing what was going on. And so, but I did go back. And we, as a coaching staff, we talked about these next few awards, and we started adding up some things and looking for offensive player, and some words came to mind. Uh, Smart, made plays happen with and without the ball, had the ability to drive and dish and share the ball as well. Great at fast breaks and filling the lane. Just an all-around great athlete. This individual ended up scoring over 200 points this year for us. And this year's Offensive Player of the Year is Hawk Hines. All right. The next award, Defensive Player of the Year. And this one was a little bit tricky. We had a lot of really aggressive young men this year. And so when we came down to selecting this award, we went with we honestly could have went with two different gentlemen, but we selected this young man. And here are some words that came to mind: a young man who is quick, who plays aggressive. He's really good at forcing turnovers and hustling after a loose ball. A lot of times we would approach this individual and ask him to shut down one of the top players on the other team. So really play face-to-face defense and shut them down. He was really good at reading offense to disrupt passing lanes. And he was also one of our more vocal leaders in the huddle. Oftentimes you would hear this individual yelling out for us. So this year's Defensive Player of the Year is Paul Herrera. Is not here tonight. Now, Mr. Holt gets that award. All right. Coaches Awards. I did ask David to cheat a little bit on this one. We started talking about as a coach's group about who to select for this, and I asked for two. I cheated. Hope that's okay. Yeah. If not, we're here anyway. All right. So I want to tell a little bit of a quick story about our first one. And I'm gonna rat him out a little bit. We had a moment this season where this individual was taken off the court. He was being subbed out. He hadn't been in very long, and he got a little grumpy with me coming off the court. Gave me a little bit of a growl and started to argue a little bit. And I just looked at him. I said, "Listen, this is not about you. This is about the team." And I talked to him after the game and kind of reiterated this idea of, listen, you may play a lot of minutes, you may not. And there was a distinct turning point in his attitude for the rest of that season to where he became one of our biggest cheerleaders, no matter where he was. At the end of every game, one of our coaches, Coach Coop, he would always ask for shout outs where the boys had to literally shout and scream something that the team did really well or someone that did something really well. And this young man would always get super excited about this and always had a shout out, no matter if he had played 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 0 minutes for the game. He always became super excited and very encouraging no matter what his playing time looked like from then on. And so it was just something that marked something in our minds that was really, really incredible to see in a young man. So our first coach's award is Mr. Alex Garney. Okay. Right. I'll preface the next coach's award with we had a little bit of an error, um, and you'll see why here in just a minute. But our next in the name that we put on on the plaque. But this next individual, I'm just going to give you a few words that describe him. This young man plays with a lot of intensity. This young man is somebody who always is looking to make eye contact with you when you speak to him and looking for ways to always improve, which is really super important as an individual. And he's a guy who walks around with genuine joy. When you look at how he operates, he just always has that joy and that smile on his face no matter what he's doing. Whether he's diving on the floor, getting bruised up, he's always got a smile. He gives tremendous effort. And again, he's always asking, "Hey, coach, what can I do to get better?" He's also though a young man who is quiet and reserved and super humble, but you never have to question his loyalty and his effort. So our second coach's award tonight is Mr. Colson Morris.
Person what?
So Colson, the Ocean Moms
Winter.
statement for your last name. Uh, we'll get that fixed. Mr. Colson. Just a super quick story about Colson. We all had nicknames this year that we developed. Colson got the first one. His name is Rambo because he drew first blood on the basketball court. Fun little story about Colson. All right, our last award, and Coach McAllister did a great job of explaining what this award is about, so I won't go into that. But this last individual, again, was voted on by our team. And we did receive, it wasn't a unanimous vote this year. And so, which is really cool to hear and think about when you look at the boys seeing qualities in each other. But this individual received a large majority of the votes. And he is a young man who really does exhibit those core values. If you see him on the court, off the court, he is someone who is genuinely loving life, loving being part of a team, and loving the game of basketball. He is someone we could depend on as a leader, whether it be in warmups, whether it be on the court, in huddles. He is someone you can count on in practice and in games. Also very vocal. He had a contagious energy. If we needed someone to pick us up a little bit and dive on the floor, this was the guy to go ask. Sometimes we were very concerned he was going to hurt himself. Had extreme intensity, extreme hustle, and very dependable player, both on offense and defense. And I would just describe him as a disruptor on defense. If you've ever watched him play, you'll know this guy is going to jump from spot to spot to spot and jump and leap really high. So this year's Statesman Award goes to Shepard Jacob. Yeah,
All right. So the next team has a substitute teacher today. Coach Holbert was now able to be here due to a family thing, but I was telling Mrs. Parker up over in the cafe, I felt like I substitute taught for a couple years. I've felt teach. See, a couple years. I don't do it anymore. That's why I'm here. Um, but I felt like that was always the easier job, much easier than a regular teacher. You're kind of like a glorified babysitter. And when I look at all the awards over here, they also had the least amount. So you got the easy job today, Mrs. Parker.
I'll be short and sweet, I promise. Don't mind my sidekick. He, if you came to any middle school or high school home games, he was probably with me. And yeah. I only have 2 awards. I don't have, offensive player, defensive player. I don't have a bunch of stats to spit out at you. But having a group of cheerleaders coming from, I'm also a former cheerleader. It just brings something extra to the games. It just kind of helps to boost the atmosphere a little bit, I think. And some people view our girls as non-athletes because they just stayed on the sidelines, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of muscle and a lot of work to throw up the stunts that they do. And I'm just super, super proud of all of them this year. And we had a middle school this year, which they were 3 strong. We're hoping to grow it a little bit more. They did an awesome job and came so far. So our first award that we're giving out tonight is the Statesman Award. And again, it is voted on by the other squad members. I have no idea what they're doing. Oh gosh. Okay. I didn't do that. So because this is voted on by their peers, to me it kind of makes it a little bit more meaningful. And we're recognizing a girl tonight who represents our team very, very well. She demonstrates great leadership, positivity, and respect. She's someone that the rest of the team looks up to, and they clearly admire her. She's great at leading by example and supports those around her, and honestly makes me laugh every time I'm around her. So this year's Statesman Award goes to Eliana King. And then our last award is the Coaches Award. This is going to someone who has just been incredibly, incredibly dependable throughout the entire season. And every coach in here knows how important it is and how valuable it is to have someone that you can count on, someone who is always willing to step in wherever they're needed. They help kind of keep things organized. They help keep you organized as a coach sometimes. And let's face it, with Coach Holbert and I, they helped remind us of how some of the things went and ran because we just lost our minds sometimes. We deal with little kids all day. You get it. And this is also someone that I coached years ago when we had cheerleading, when we first brought cheerleading to New Hope. And it gives me great pleasure to award this to Jada Dials.
All right. Last but not least, I've asked that we make sure we do the plaques only right now, and that way the long spiel that I hear that the long-winded legendary Coach Rose has a lot of times waits till they're bent. So here you go.
Now, when we split up, well, these freshman parents are gonna be allowed to leave. So
Hey,
now
listen,
that you've said that. Okay. First of all, we'll do our offensive player of the year award. This is gonna be no surprise to anybody. Okay, this guy from the time he walked into the gym as a freshman, it was obvious that he had a high basketball IQ, high ability to handle the basketball and to shoot a basketball. And that's always been his forte. But what I've been really pleased with him this year is he's become a really, really complete player. He's plays both ends of the floor. He's learned to do some things really, really well. This year, he averaged 22.8 points a game, 22.8 points a game. He also had 5 rebounds and 4 assists and 3 steals. So he's a very, very complete player, but he can definitely put the ball in the hole. He was a 1,000-point scorer this year. He's fourth in school history in scoring. So without further ado, Mr. Nathaniel Ames. Next is our defensive award, and this one will not be a surprise either. This guy has been he's been a 3-year warrior for us. He's the guy that I asked to set the tone. We've got something we always put on the board almost every single night in our locker room that talks about physicality. We always say the toughest team sets the rules. And if this individual would go out and set the tone each night, we would have a successful night. He was often asked to guard their largest player, okay, a post player, and he's all of 6'1.5", maybe something like that. Okay, he's tough minded, he's tough bodied, he's tough willed. And if you come to our practices after a game night, he would look like he was 40 years old as he tried to warm up. He looked like me. Okay, trying to warm up because he would just throw his body around. He would mop the floor up, but he was the guy that set a tone for us defensively, and that's Gavin Loomis. And our statesman, again, Coach McAllister, excellent job explaining that. We always, when we go to vote on this at the end of the season, I always say, hey, who's the dude you want to send out to Rotary? Who's the dude you want to send out to Kiwanis? Who's the guy we're going to send out and speak and talk about what this program is about? Okay, the way he carries himself on the court, the way he carries himself off the court, the way he practices, the way he treats his teammates. And I want you to know there's a lot of guys on this team that could qualify for this. We've got some kids as they go through the program, when they get to the end of 4 years, okay, there's a lot of them that are statesmen. Okay, and we'll talk about that tonight in our banquet. But this particular individual has been one of consistency. His attitude never wavers. He's another one that has totally accepted what his role is, and whether he likes it or he doesn't like it, you don't know. Okay, he goes out, whatever you ask him to do, he will do it. Whether you ask him to start, whether you ask him to come off the bench, whether you ask him to score, whether you just ask him to defend. He's the guy that has been probably the most consistent, okay, in his time here in this program, and is voted on by his teammates in a unanimous vote. Judson Pollock.
Smile.
All right, well, I'm pretty proud of myself and the coaches here. I was shooting for between 30 and 40 minutes in here. So we are just at 38. So I'm actually a little bit later because we started late. But I want to again thank you guys for coming out. We are now going to begin to split off after I pray us out, and I'll kind of explain it afterwards. So please bow your heads and we'll pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for allowing these students to come out and participate in sports and athletics, but not just that, but to glorify you and to shine your light towards any opponent that either comes through these doors or we walk through theirs. God, we are only here because of you. There have been many years where it's been an interesting year, but God, you have always come through, just like David and Goliath. We find our strength and courage through you, Lord. We ask you to allow the rest of this night to be great, and in your name we pray. Amen. Okay, so middle school girls are going to be going to Mr. Drum's class, and Coach McAllister will lead you, or some of the girls can lead the way as well. Middle school boys will be out here in the cafe. Cheer will be in Miss Hardman's class, and then high school here. So without further ado, disperse.
He knows that I've asked Misty to take the video. Winter knows too, but I just.
I feel like I'm forever away from you guys. Can you hear me okay? He is right about these lights. Can I ask you guys to scoot in just a little bit? That'd be okay. So will you come forward for me, please? Come up here, bro. So Mr. Holt talks about legendary, okay, and maybe how long I call them banquets, okay? Some people, when you just pass out the awards and eat some dessert, I call that an awards night, okay? Banquets is where we come together to celebrate, okay? And I always preface this with this, if we are going to spend 4 months with your children, your sons, okay, we're going to spend some time and celebrate. Because to go through a 4 month season with Coach Rose and his coaching staff, okay, and what we asked of them, it's not easy. It's hard. Okay, so I always want to take an opportunity to celebrate each one of these kids and their in the team accomplishments this year. And so I make no apologies for that. Okay, you're welcome to go to the restroom when you want to go. If we need to take an intermission, we will. Okay, we're going to celebrate kids here tonight. And that's what we're here to do. And to do what we do takes a lot of people. There's a lot of people that need to be thanked. Like I always like to thank my dad and uncle that allow me to do whatever it is that I want to do when we coach this team. They allow me to leave and do whatever. That they allow me to contribute financially. However, matter of fact, they don't even really know. And I'm afraid maybe one time they will ask and I'll tell them. Okay. And maybe I'll get fired. But because they are 2/3, 1/3 to me, but I do appreciate the fact that they allow me the latitude to do what God has called me to do. So I'm thankful for that. Thankful for elite construction. Got new uniforms this year, and Tim was gracious enough to purchase those for us. Okay, I'm very very thankful for that because we're a program that generates some money for the other programs, and so I always like to try to take care of ourselves. If we whatever we generate, I want everybody else to have. Okay, if we can take care of our own, then that's what I want to do. Tim, I thank you for doing that. Ohio Healthcare, it gives us trainers. It's awesome to have trainers. Okay, I've been involved in some times when we didn't have trainers around here. It was challenging and sometimes it was very scary. Matter of fact, first game I ever coached, I had a kid tear an ACL. Okay, and fortunately there was a doctor in the crowd that took care of things. So very very thankful to have them. Thankful for our new administrator, head of school, Dr. Mudrow. He and Mr. Holt, they're athletic guys. They love sports and probably the most unified group of administrators as far as sports support that we've ever had. I'm thankful for their vision, for the things they want to accomplish, and they value athletics. Okay, maybe the way I do. I think athletics is a great teacher. Nothing wrong with the classroom, guys. I don't think that biology lab doesn't give the adversity or the opportunities for adversity success that the field of play does, whether it's soccer, basketball, baseball, whatever it is. So I'm thankful that they support that. Mr. Holt has been awesome this year. Okay, it's been a while that we've had somebody that's as passionate as David Holt is. David's got a vision. Okay, sometimes he's got such a vision that I gotta go, we'll get him a sedative sometimes to settle him down just a little bit because he's out there running. Okay, talked about the other day, was talking about having a baseball team and it takes a lot of kids to have I don't know if he knows this or not, but we have a baseball field out there yet. Okay, so but he is so passionate about what we're doing, and I'm thankful for that. I want to also thank Mike and Julie Heidish that take care of our booster club. Okay, and this year was a year that we needed some reorganization. They stepped in and put a lot of time behind the scenes that you don't all get an opportunity to see to make sure that we're financially solvent and solid. They do a great job, and they're the only ones that have ever done it in the 17 years that I've been here. Okay, and they've not had any kids in the program for 5 years. If you ever see Mike and Julie out, they're my eye doctor up in Nashville. Please say thank you to them. Concessions, Joanna Satrulis. Listen, that lady's gold, has been gold for a long time right here. Okay, and I've heard she's not going to do this any longer, so we're gonna have somebody else step up. But her organizational skills, her passion, and then also a huge credit to you guys. I think this has probably been the best year of parental support in that concession stand and gate that we've ever had. You guys have been awesome. I don't think we've ever been short. Okay. And again, I see you guys time and time again. You're at that, you're doing way more than the role that you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to 4 or 5 times, whatever's your requirement, you always do. You've been, a lot of you guys have done a lot more than that. And we really appreciate it. And like I said, our program is the one that generates the crowds. Okay. And what it takes, like our gates on a given home night probably will cover the officials plus $100. So we really make our money in the concession stands. We gotta have that concession stand filled. We gotta have big hot dogs. We gotta have great popcorn.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all
Yeah.
part. But my dad taught me the time I was listening. He said, you can't sell bad popcorn, Shane.
That's right.
All right, you gotta sell good popcorn. I think we do both of that, and we also serve it with a smile. So I think we're doing good there. And I also want to thank Heritage Nazarene. I think it's always important to recognize the fact we would not be here without the support of Heritage, and not just current Heritage. It's about the people that, when I started to go to church here 26, 7 years ago, the people that had the vision for this place right here. It was when I first started going to the NAS down on Walnut Street, down south end of Circleville. This was a picture on a board. This place was, and that's what excited me about coming here. And this vision has become a reality. It became a reality to here, and then about 10, 12 years ago, that became a vision. And now it's a reality that we get to play in it. Repetitive. So Heritage Nazarene, I'm thankful for them. Video people that helped us out this year: Susie Reeves, Jeannie Ames, Shelly Scribner. Thank you for filling in and doing whatever was asked of you on those given nights that I would just come to you and say, hey, I need you up there. I think we only had one night where we didn't have somebody up there. I think we were about a minute or two into the game, and I said, we're having somebody up in the tower. We had to go get somebody, but you guys were awesome. I appreciate you doing that for us. Scorebook, Chad Brink and Matt Ryan, and also I know Scott Kavanaugh jumped in there in the scorebook and the clock. You guys were awesome, and I think you guys made a decision early on that wasn't going to be something that I had to worry about, and very, very appreciative of that, because that has in the early years, that was always a concern. I would get there and we didn't have somebody do the book. We didn't have somebody that could do the clock. So I'm very, very thankful for that. Statistics, Eric Kitchen did statistics for the JV team. And so by the time the varsity game started, I think Eric was sitting in a text, wasn't it? Okay, where he would, and I don't know if he does it because he enjoys doing it or maybe just keeps him calm. We've never really had that discussion.
Well, we
And
have.
then he did it for the varsity game a couple times. That I really, it's nice to kind of have stuff real time. Okay, Doug always does our stats in the morning after the game. So it's nice to have those things real time. I appreciate that, Eric. Phil Roark was our announcer. I love Phil Roark. He still did a great job.
Yeah.
Phil is awesome. Okay, he was on the original team that we had around here, and I just appreciate Phil being willing to do that. We got Luke the live stream right there. Luke the link. You're never going to get enough thanks because there's people that watch this all the time. Okay, there are so many people this year would come up to me and say, send me the link. Send me the link. When you guys play? What time? And if Luke didn't choose to do that, there'd be a lot of people who wouldn't get a chance to see our kids play. I really appreciate that. Scrimmage meals. We only had one of those this year, so we had a little bit. We had a light go of it, but you guys came out in spades on that. I always like to treat the other teams well when they come in here. Pizza dinner, John and Sandy Little, the Heidish's grandparents. I thought that was a good time that we had down in Lucasville. We got great middle school coaches and elementary coaches. This program does not happen without that. We've got a really, really good feeder system. You saw Jamie King, you got Pastor Hines, Ricky Cooper was also one of the middle school coaches. Our elementary program is run by Derek Wilcox, Scott Kavanaugh, and Matt Ryan. Okay, those guys are the ones that keep this thing rolling. Without them, we wouldn't have what we have. Thankful for that. High school coaches, I'll recognize you here in a little bit. And parents and grandparents, you guys are the lifeblood of what we do. You guys are the ones that have you're responsible for having these kids here. You produce these kids literally, and you produce the quality of kids that we have. You guys come out and support like none other. We got aunts and uncles, and really the community beyond is really pretty impressive. I got people that call me after almost every game. People that aren't really associated with this, but they've been watching live stream, or they're friends of yours, or aunts and uncles of somebody, and they want to talk about New Hope basketball, and I appreciate it. Okay, but you guys, it's because of your support that allows that to happen. And last but certainly not least is my wife. Listen, guys, I'm married to a great one, and I know it. Okay, she allows me. Listen, this is not her passion. She loves sports. Don't get me wrong, and she loves Coach Rose. Thankfully, for almost 32 years now, we're approaching 34 years of being together. She's my rock. She's the reason that I want to do things right for her. I want to provide for her. I want to produce teams that when she comes and watches them, she likes to come and watch them. She came late in the season, and probably one of the times during the year that I was most proud of a group. I came home that night and she just looked at me and she says, "Out statesman basketball tonight, Shane." She had been to some games earlier in the season, and she didn't think it was quite statesman basketball. And we were trying to get there, so probably wasn't quite statesman basketball at that time. And she came and she goes, "You know what? These kids have come a long way." And for me to hear that from her is vitally important. She's my rock, and I just want to always be thankful for her. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring up my JV coaches, Clayton Ryan and Simon Kuwan. Come up here real quick. Can I give them a hand, please? I got Simon Kuwan, second year helping out with the JV program. He did the middle school for a couple of years. Listen, this guy's newly married. He's trying to figure it out. Got any advice for him? He will certainly take it. Okay, he works on a family farm. So his sacrifice is appreciated. He has to ask Dad whether he can leave, and I know sometimes that's not always received so well. I get it. Okay, but he makes the commitment to be here because he loves your kids. I love him because he's still young and he can get out there and he can play. He's extremely high character dude. He's spirit led. Probably after our Logan Elm scrimmage, he's one of the ones that kind of kicked Coach Rose in the tail about we need to tighten up our attitudes a little bit. We got to get back where we need to be. The Spirit was working on him. When the Spirit worked on him, it worked on all of us. Just really, really thankful for him. Clayton Ryan's our JV head coach. His third year with the program, second year as a head coach. Listen, high IQ basketball guy. He can see and explain the game better than most. I was talking to him today, matter of fact, coming up the road. We talked a lot of world baseball. Baseball. Yeah, we talked about baseball. He talked about any kind of sports you want to talk about. But the way he can see the game of basketball and teach it, okay, really, it's good for me. I've learned a lot from this guy here in the last couple of years. He does a great job with our spring and fall workouts. Really, really good at player development. And he's a committed guy. Okay, what you guys probably don't realize standing here is this winter, this guy's taking 19 credit hours. What's the job? Coach basketball. He's also got this young lady down at Miami University that he's fairly sweet on, but I can tell. Okay. And he's made time for all of that and does an excellent job at what he's doing. Okay. So he's committed. And I probably got responsibilities at home too, right? A little bit, maybe not. Not a bit. Kind of heard that, man. We'll get there. Yeah. You're doing too much. Something's got to go, right? So might as well be the laundry. Yeah. Yeah.
Shut up, Mom.
And what I love about Clayton is he continues to find his voice. he knows this is an area that he's got all this knowledge and really all this wisdom, because when he speaks, it's really good. Those that have been in the room with him in the surplus coaches, Clayton doesn't say a ton, but when he says it, he hits the mark. Okay, he knows that he needs to work on that. He knows he needs to, he's kind of a black and white guy, and he's got to kind of get into that warm and fuzzy part of his being. Okay, that spirit. But I can't thank these guys enough for what they've meant to the program and how they lead. So without further ado, JB finishes.
I should get that.
Stairs right there. Go on right now. Again. Didn't have time for that this year. 19 credit.
So I got here about an hour early and came up on this stage and was thinking about what I was going to say, and I was looking out, and it was so much less intimidating with empty seats. And now I got about 100 people looking at me, and it's a lot worse. But I love this a lot because I hate this. And I've like, when I came here my senior year, I probably said 5 words of practice. Probably said about 10 words after practice, and then I was gone. Or I was just on the other end of the court shooting. And then about 3 months later, all of a sudden, I'm head coaching for summer league basketball games, and now I've got to think about what I'm going to say as I call a timeout. I've got to give a 5-minute speech after the game of what we did wrong and what we did well. And if you know me, I think we did a million things wrong and only 2 things well. So it's been very difficult speaking on the spot. And that's the best part about this is it's so important for me to get better at what I'm not good at. And like, I look at all the coaches I've got, and I think about all the hard work that they've put in to get every single one of them. And I think of how it doesn't even feel like I don't even think about that stuff half the time. Like Simon wakes up at like 5 in the morning to go work with cows. I hate cows. I hate all my actually. I got 2 guys here that run their own business and are just so incredibly generous. It's insane what they've given, and not just money but time. Like I know I'm welcome over to go work out at either one of their houses whenever I want. Tim's taken me to Cleveland Cavaliers games, and we've had 3-hour conversations in the car. Like it's not about nothing's about money for these guys. It's all about what they're doing here, and it's about the relationships that they've developed with me. And then we got Ames over there, who I know half the time hates to be here because it's hard for him, just like it is for me. But he's got a different perspective than anybody else here because he still has the kid in the program, and he forces me to think the way you guys would, which I don't see it. I don't even think to look at it through your perspective. I only think about it half the time as if I were still a player. But I've got a head coach of 15 years, and I've got a coach that still has the kid that makes me see it through another perspective. And it's difficult. I've got all these voices that give me so much insight, and I have to decipher what am I going to use at every given point. But it's all there for me. I've got everything that I could ask for just sitting in that front row right there and standing beside me. This is a hard job. I feel like most people would think it's an easy job, actually, just coaching the JV team. But it feels hard. But I've got so much support. And from you parents, it's been so nice. I don't really know any of you parents, and that's a beautiful thing. Not to worry about guys is awesome. I figured that would be like one of the biggest worries. You know, my dad was a head coach for my travel baseball team for like 10 years. And it felt like every time getting in the car, we got a new issue with some new parents. And it's been nice. I'm not going to lie. I'm very thankful that I'm at a Christian school where I've got mostly great parents. I've already got Seth rolling his head back because he thinks I'm talking for too long. I thank you guys for that. And probably the guy that's at the hardest time with all of this is my dad because he's had to raise me. And I know that can't be easy. I'm a very expensive child. I did travel baseball for what 12 years. I've been in travel basketball for 12 years. You know, I've ruined a car. There have been a lot of things, a lot of messes that I've made that my dad's had to clean up, and you know, for 7 kids, you don't understand how hard he's worked for me. I don't, I've got a lot of things that I'm doing every single day, and trying to allocate my time to all these things, I feel like it's difficult. But he's allocated his time to work and work and work and still make sure every single one of us is taken care of and feels special. And there's no better role model for me. Like I have it all. I feel like in my house, I've got the best mom, I've got the best dad, and if I can live up to anything, I want to live up to that. You know, this is just another stepping stone for me in my life, and you know, hopefully soon I'm gonna have a kid, and I'm gonna look to my parents, and I'm gonna know exactly what to do because I know they've done an amazing job, and I couldn't ask for anything different. I'm just very thankful to have this opportunity and to be here. Thankful for all of you. This is hard, but this is the best part of my life. I'm gonna start talking about these kids now. Gonna start here with Jaden, Jaden Mullins. I'm gonna have you come up here and talk about you, and I'll send you back down. So Jaden's very even keeled. I never know what's going on in his head, and I don't think I've ever asked him because I'm okay with not knowing.
Yeah.
I can always expect him to just keep going with whatever he's doing. And that's great for me. And you know, I was a very emotional player. And if you gave me 10 really emotional kids like myself, it would be a bad thing. So I'm glad I have at least 1 or 2 kids like Jaden to keep him calm. And his IQ was really helpful this year. I mean, especially when Preston went down late in the year, I had to have someone to handle the ball a lot, and Jaden took that responsibility. Um, one thing that I always remember from this year is early, very early, maybe third or fourth game. Yeah, we're beating a team by a lot, and Cade is in the corner. He catches the ball, he shoots, and he gets blocked. And that kid that blocked him starts racing down the floor. And there you go, got Jaden on the other end of the floor. I mean, Cade gets blocked on the left corner, and Jaden's all the way on the right wing. And he sprints to the other end of the floor and gets a steal with about 10 seconds left in the game. There's no reason to hustle at this point. We're up probably 20 points, 10 seconds left in the game. But he's got Cade's back, and he sprints down, gets a steal, runs up the floor, finds Cade on the left elbow, shoots it, and he makes it. And the crowd pop was just ridiculous, and the moment felt so good. And as much as that meant for Cade, it was as much Jaden's bucket, and it meant so much to me to see that ball go in and to feel just the feeling that we did something right that night, that we played till the end, and we had that family spot completely covered. It was amazing. So I wanted to thank.
That's good.
All right, next I got Gideon. So Gideon has the cleanest number I've ever seen. It's 50 for 150 from the 3-point line. Completely round numbers, 33%. That's what you shoot for as a player. You want to be 33% from three, 50% from two, and ideally in high school, you want to be 80% from the line. And he took that three exactly how you're supposed to do it. 50 for 150. He took some shots this year that I wouldn't have dreamed of taking as a freshman, and he hit them. The range and the quickness that he was able to get some of these shots off was absolutely amazing. And I think we saw at chess just how aggressive and how tough of a defender he can be. Chess is one of the best teams that we played throughout the year. I mean, we lost by 18, and I can't think of a team other than that we lost by that much. And he stepped into a role and really frustrated some guys. I mean, he's a freshman going up against juniors and seniors, and you wouldn't have been able to tell. I mean, just a point of attack defender that can take the bumps and get back up. I mean, it was something special, and really telling of the growth that he had throughout the year to be able to step up into that spot and perform. And so I think that was really cool. And I think he's part of this group of upcoming sophomores that is just super talented. I mean, we've got a great group coming up, and I think he's going to have a chance to move right in and to really perform. And we're going to have a great group here in a couple years. And I'm really thankful for that. And I got the guy with the best name in the group, Emmy Valiant.
Yeah.
So, as I know, this is Valiant's first year playing like real organized basketball, and that's a really difficult thing to walk into as a freshman playing a new sport. And I've seen some people try to do it, and it's not easy. I mean, you can ask Lane over there how it was trying to walk into something new, and it's just not easy. Even me walking into a completely new system my senior year, it took a lot of adjusting to do. And Val's IQ improvement from the start of the year to the end was amazing. Uh, the thing that I'd like to point out with that is his help side. Start of the year, Val was glued to a guy. It was straight Elmer's white glue. Everyone in the court is like I told him to face guard the entire game. And then you go through the year and you work on the shell defense and you work on where you're supposed to be when the ball's somewhere. And it was just a slow mental process that everything that we told him impacted him. He was very coachable. And by the end of the season, he wasn't looking at a guy, he was just looking at the court. You could see that he saw more than what was just right here. And that's so hard to do, not only as somebody new, but someone that's a freshman. It's not easy. It's really hard to do with a ball, but it's really hard to do when you don't have any experience with that. I'd also like to point out that he's a great teammate. And he had a lot of sporadic minutes throughout the year. Some days he played a lot, some days he barely got in the game. Now, High Street, the first time we played him, pretty sure he only played 2 minutes. And if I were to go into the locker room after the game, I know he didn't have his head down. I know he wasn't pouting about how much he played. I know he came up and shook my hand after the game. You guys don't understand how much that means. To work your butt off and then to have that disappointment and then to still show the same love to your teammates and same respect to the coaches, it's special. And it speaks a lot to parenting, and it speaks a lot to who he is as a person. And he's a great example of what we've got here. Great example. Thank you for that. I got you. All right, I got Preston Pollock. This is Preston's second year of being my point of attack on offense and defense. Handles the ball more than anybody else. Played the second most minutes. He was only 3 minutes behind Jaden Mullins. So I know how much the kid had to run. And it's a lot. It's really hard. I mean, Nate had to go through this year. You pretty much never come out of the game and you're guarding one of the best players the whole time. It's difficult. And I don't think once I ever saw him tug on his jersey to come out of the game. You know, whatever was going on, however he felt, he was going to continue to get through because he knew that he was so important to how the game went. I need a point guard. He was going to be that for me. But there were some games where he would handle the ball so much, and then I'd look at the box score. He'd only take 4 shots, 5 shots. Where's the ball going? He was just so unselfish, and at times I didn't even realize it. He led, but had to lead the team in drives per game. But he was always looking for other people. If he didn't have the wide open lane, he was going to kick it out and let somebody else do something with it. I never had to question him as a teammate. Never once. And the most important thing for me as a player and as a coach was seeing him on the other end of the floor after every single practice, after everybody left, after we just grinded for 2 hours, and he's over there shooting. And that's what I did after every single practice. And that's something that I have appreciated so much. And it's so important to grow in your game, but it's so important as a person when you're not just satisfied with what you've got. When you continue to work even after the job looks like it's done. The job was never done for Preston. And that's what I appreciate so much. And I know that's what he's going to continue to bring to this program. Elijah Kitchen. Is there an S on the end of that? I always say it with an S on the end. I got it right. Wow. So Elijah led the team with 105 rebounds, according to Kitchen stats over there.
That's right.
He often played a lot bigger than he actually was. You know, I look over at Elijah and I'm somehow taller than him, but it doesn't feel like that. You know, I put him up against, I oftentimes when we play these JV teams, the fattest kid on the court and the biggest kid. But he always took care of him. I never really had to worry about a big kid on the other team, really, all year. And when we got beat, it's because some of these little kids were hitting threes on us and we were in a zone. My fault, right? But you know, I never had to question anything down low. You know, I never had to question if we were gonna contest people at the rim. Yeah, did we pick up a lot of fouls? Yeah, but that's when I only got one kid that's my size. You know, I I never had to question his effort on the court. I could tell by the look in his face that he was determined to go make an impact. Because the look on his face was the look on my face for 4 years. That you don't know what's in there. It's just a determined look to go do something, and he always had that. But for me, the most important thing was late in the year he was sick, and a lot of times, what you want to do when you're sick is to stay home and to wait to get better. But he didn't do that. No, I never missed a game because I was sick. I was determined never to miss a game because I was sick. And Elijah was sick for like 3 weeks and he never missed a game. He continued to come to practice, continued to come to games with the exact same effort and gave us whatever he had. So I knew it wasn't 100%, but that didn't matter. I don't need 100% if you don't have 100%. I just need whatever you got. And I thought he gave that to me. Thank you. Noah Brink. For Noah, I had written out just one word to start, and then I added one more word, and it was consistent character. You know, it's very easy to have character when you're playing well, when you're winning. Everything just seems to be going your way. But Noah wasn't playing well because he wasn't in. Noah was hurt for 95% of the season. And I know how frustrating that is. You know, I've only really gotten hurt one time in my career, and it wasn't even basketball. It was in track. And I hyperextended my knee doing long jump. It's a really ugly video if anybody wants to see it. I had to sit out, and I don't even like track. I did it because my girlfriend was doing it. But having to sit out those races and track absolutely frustrated the crap out of me. And I didn't know what to, because I don't miss things. And for Noah to keep showing up day after day after day, waiting for a doctor's response, waiting to see, you know, if the shin is ever going to get better, waiting to see if the ankle's ever going to get better. I know how tough that is. But what never wavered was the character. He was always that guy that I could count on the bench. He was always going to have the highest, or maybe not the highest energy, but the loudest voice. You know, the best part
Pretty high energy.
was hearing that delayed scream. The shot went in 5 seconds ago, and I'm only now hearing Noah get up there and almost run onto the court and start screaming that we made it. You know, it always broke my character because I'm trying to stay focused on the game. And I hear that delayed scream, and I can't do anything but smile. You know, it was tough, but I'm really happy that I'm talking about Noah as a sophomore and not a junior because his feel for the game and his willingness to move off ball is huge. It's huge. And it reminds me a lot of me going up there for offensive rebounds, just finding any way to get a hold of the basketball.
Mhm.
And, you know, he's got 2 more years now. And hopefully, without any injuries, I'm going to have 2 more years of that dog on the court. And I'm thankful for that. Cade.
Yeah.
You know, if I were to have a state's middle board, this is who it would be. if you look at the core values, the family, he was always there. He is the best teammate I think we have. He's always looking for other people. Nothing's ever really about him. And he embodies this role on the team that is so special. And he never gets mad about anything. He's always positive, and that's not easy. And Cade has made such remarkable improvement from last year to this year. And I thought we saw it. This year he hit what, 2 buckets plus a free throw, over doubled what he had last year. And I walk in our workouts before school that started in August. I walk into the gym, I haven't seen him for like a month. And all of a sudden I'm watching Cade go double between the legs behind the back into a shot. Like Cade didn't have any of that in his bag last year. But Cade has worked. He's worked. And you can see that it doesn't change who he is. Just because Cade's got instrumentally better since last year, it hasn't changed his attitude. It hasn't changed where he thinks he should stand in this group of kids. Move over to character. And Cade's got the character. Like if I were to ask somebody to speak on character, it'd be him. Because I watch him in practice, and he's always working. He's working no matter what. And it's not easy to do. He's running as fast as he can. He has not caused the team to do a sprint ever in his life. You know how many sprints we had to do this year because of bad behavior? It was a lot. I'm just going to be honest with you. He didn't cause a single one. But you know who ran the hardest on every single one? You know who didn't complain one single time? It was Cade. He is this team. This team embodies him. He would be on the banner that I would put. Go over to passion now. And does anybody know who leads the break in the locker room?
Okay.
Does anybody know who leads the break in practice? Anybody?
Okay.
Who is it? Who is it, Nate?
Cade.
It's Cade. Because Cade's got the passion to do that. That's his job. Cade's going to yell the loudest out of anybody. He's going to yell family. He's going to yell intensity. There we go. He's going to yell whatever the team needs at that given moment. He's always coming up with something new. It's fourth one, Cade. Commitment. He stayed committed through this whole process. The before season workouts, which actually, by the way, I've got papers for you guys to fill out, which I'll pass out at some point. But the before season workouts, there were 17 workouts. 7 a.m., you had to be here. If you were 1 minute late, I was counting you absent. There were 2 people that were late by 1 minute. One was by 2 minutes, and I made them shoot free throws. If they made 3 out of 4 free throws, I counted them as present. But if they missed, they were absent, even though they were only 1 minute late. Did you know he was never late? It's Cade. Cade was never late. Cade was always early. He was always shooting early. He wasn't taking time putting on his shoes. He was quickly putting on his shoes and then getting out there and shooting. He was committed to the cause. He's committed to getting better. And then class. Now, I will be 100% honest. I doubted Cade's class when in one game he pushed a kid from behind on a shot. The most aggressive foul I've ever seen while the kid was in the air. But it happens. All right. I don't think you guys need to question Cade's class. It's there. He's got everything that we need, everything that we want. If you want an example of how this program is, what this program can do with anybody, it's Cade.
That's right.
Nate here?
Nope. Nope.
I got you. Andrew Scribner.
Should tell them? Should we tell them they're watching?
Senior, junior of the day, soon to be senior. So before every game, before we go out of the locker room, Scribs would come and ask me, what are 2 things I need to do better? And across 20 games, 'cause we were 9-11, across 20 games, there's only so many things that I can think of. 20 times 2, that's 40. I got to think of 40 different things to tell them each time across the season. I couldn't do it. So first 10 games, I had 2 different things that I could give him each time, and then I had to start combining them together. But he was always looking for something. What can Scribs do to impact the game? You know, he wasn't looking to go out there and be an all-star scoring 70 points and 20 rebounds. He was looking at what he can do to impact the game for us. And that's so important. This year his role completely shifted from what it was last year. Last year you didn't get off the bench much at all. And this year, all of a sudden you find yourself starting in at least 6 or 7 games. Don't get me wrong. But the role completely changed and his attitude completely changed. Scribs used to get down on himself so much for every little wrong thing he does. I understand that because I used to do that. Sometimes I still do that. But you could see it. You could see how much every mistake impacted it. And now all of a sudden, he's just getting up and he's going. It doesn't matter what mistakes he made. It doesn't matter what successes he had. He just kept up and kept going. Scribs was always looking for that next thing. He was always looking at how he could get better. The increase in minutes is a direct reflection on the increase in work that he put in. You don't get to where he was this year without putting in a tremendous amount of work. And that's not easy with the uncertainty that you have sometimes of where you can get with that work. I can go outside and I could shoot for 20,000 hours. And then I could go into the season, and that very first game I could get in, I could shoot 0 for 5. And coach is going to think I didn't do a single thing all summer. That's the harsh reality of basketball. But Scribs came in, and not only did he start to perform, but his attitude was so good that I couldn't keep him off the floor. When we would go into the locker room and I would ask the team, hey, what's going on? Guess who was the first person to respond to me every single time? Guess who was the person to take accountability for his own actions and say, we are doing this, myself included. There's maturity there, guys, and he's matured so much. And if I were to pick a guy that I would talk to before every game and to talk to after every game for his input, it would be Scribs. Because I respect how much he's grown and I respect his opinion on everything that we do. I can't wait for you to be a leader next year, varsity. Thank you.
A little hard to believe that guy didn't say about 30 words his senior year. And he's really not lying either. Quite impressive. What you guys just got a little glimpse right there. This is why I'm here. Because of you. You guys that come into this program. guys that walk the whole journey, buy into what we're selling, let the spirit move, and become greatness in his presence that he can use. Those words coming out of his mouth that he couldn't find 4 years ago. And now he walks on the stage like he's been here his whole life. Okay, and you see the retention of the knowledge that he has about your kids. He doesn't miss a thing. Okay, and that's why it's great to be in the circle of Clayton Ronnie. And before I go any further, I want to bring my I want my coaches to come up here. Line up here in front, all the coaches, please. Right? Yeah. Line up here. And people kind of give us a little bit of grief. They'd say, everywhere we go, we got to get extra chairs. Okay, everywhere we go, we've got to deal. We say, hey, can you get another one out here? And people will say, man, nobody, you guys got one coach for every player. Okay, and there is a lot of, and I used to years ago, I make fun of Tays Valley. Tays Valley and that's where I'm an alma mater, so I can do that. Okay, and Tays Valley would have 6 coaches sitting there. And the reason I made fun of them was because there were 6 coaches sitting one by one right beside each other. And I think the only way they got people into the game was they grabbed the walkie-talkies and send Gibson in. Okay, because they were so far down the line. Okay, I have these guys right here because they're wonderful men. Now, each one of these guys have something that I don't have. They're a compliment to one another. They're committed. They see something different. I can get down this line right here, and each one of these guys are really good at something. And when you put us in a circle together, Coach Reeves says we have church for 4 months out of the year together, and we really do. Okay, it's like one of the greatest small groups that I've ever been a part of, is to be with these guys right here, because they love your kids. Each one of these guys, again, I go right down the line from Ames to Gillen to Reeves to Simon to Big Lane and Clayton. They're all offering something different for your kids. Some of you guys, they're texting them, they're talking to them, they're encouraging them before and after games. They're seeing things I don't see. Coach Ames talks about the fact that I'm always looking at the big picture. I'm always seeing what's going on in practices and the games, and I am seeing big picture. And I miss the little things, but they don't. And they coach the little things, and they speak into their ear, and they encourage. And probably most of the time, we're not talking about, I would say when we're having our conversations about basketball, probably 80% of it is about the young men. It's not about the basketball. It's most of the time, we talk a lot about attitude. We talk a lot about body language. That's our big focus. And these guys do an excellent job of pouring into your kids. And I hope that you understand that how much they love them. Okay, and I think by listening to Clayton, you can see a little bit of that coming out, can't you? That and all of these guys, if I gave all these guys the mic, it would be the same way. So please give a hand for them. Let's do a real quick season recap. And the question I'm going to ask is, what does success look like? Most people are going to envision success as wins. And listen, around here in the last 9 years, we've had an unprecedented amount of winning. And I think sometimes we lose track of the fact that it's not really about the winning. There's been, in the last 13 years, guys, we've played 291 basketball games here, varsity basketball games. We're 191 and 100 if one knows, like, got 191 and 100. We're 9 wins from 200. That's a lot of basketball games. We've been to 9 Final Fours. We've been runner-up twice, and we've won 6 of those. We've had a lot of unprecedented success. We've had 3 Bob Bowser winners here, which is the County Player of the Year. And so sometimes we get a little bit tainted about what success looks like. And I want to back up. Success is about a group of young men becoming the best they're capable of becoming. And sometimes that's 20 wins, and sometimes that's 10. But success is that group become the best they ever capable of coming in that year. And so I drove away from chess. And before I got to 71, I had let it go. And even Scout called me the next morning and said, "How you feeling?" And I said, "I'm at peace, Justin. I'm at peace because I watched a group of young men become successful this year. Yeah, we lost that last game. But we were 13 and 11. And I think this group far exceeded what maybe I anticipated would happen. We come into a season where we returned one starter. And the other guy that returns was the sixth man of that group. We come in with 18 new kids, and only 6 of those are juniors and seniors. We come in here with 12 underclassmen, and 8 of those are freshmen. That's called hard. Okay. We've got a group of seniors that have never led before. They've been behind a group. They've been behind groups or groups of young men that have been in the program a long time that led them. And here they arrive in their senior year and they got to learn how to lead. And then they've got these 12 sophomores and freshmen and 8, like I said, 8 freshmen that have never even been a part of a varsity practice. They have no idea the commitment that it's going to take, how hard it's going to be, how hard they're going to have to play, how much it's going to hurt, the mental things they're going to go throughout a season. And so you try to put that together. So early in the season, we had that first scrimmage over at Loganell, and I walked out of Loganell that night, and man, I didn't know what we were going to do. Okay, we had a group of seniors. We never had a taste of Loganell. We wanted to taste Loganell. We got our taste of Loganell, but that was only after about 5 or 6 practices. It wasn't very pretty. Okay, we had Nate Ames who played with some of those guys. Nate Ames wanted to do it all, didn't you, Nate? You wanted to walk out of there with that gold ball that night that we beat Loganell. We had some freshmen that just didn't even know what they were looking at, and so it got hard right then. We had to reset and back up. And the whole month of November was challenging. So we tried to find our identity. We started out the season a little bit rocky. We were 2-4, as I wrote down. We were 2-4 heading into Christmas. We had 2 games, and we had 2 games at Grandview that I think that were huge for us. We came into those games, and in one game I think we were down 18-1. I don't know what one was 18-1 and one was 16-2, or it was just ugly. What parents, was it ugly? Okay, and everybody, that second game when when the bench was down by the door, at one point in that game, I think was that Centerburg. This was the second one. I said, "Man, that door looks pretty close," and my car is in that parking lot, like right over there. Because when you're down 18-1, there's no plays in the playbook. There's no speeches in the huddle for that. That's where young men got to figure it out. That's where we get into that huddle and we challenge them. So listen, there's no plays here, guys. You got to figure it out. You got to learn how to fight for yourselves. You got to learn to stand up and battle these guys. And in both of those games, we came back, almost won the first one. I thought we learned our lesson. But no, we had to try it again the next night against Centerburg. But in that one, I think we were down 14 and ended up winning by 17. There was like a 31-point swing in 3 quarters. Okay, and that's when we began to kind of mature. We got to get our identity of what we were about. We started playing together. We started believing and trusting one another. We had some older kids that had to trust the younger kids. We had younger kids that had to believe in themselves so that we could be successful. And then mid-January to mid-February, we won 8 out of 11 games to finish the season. That's pretty impressive. At one point, it was 7 out of 8. Okay, we got beat by some pretty good teams. We got beat by High Street. We got beat by Horizon, and then Ross Christian was Ross Christian, a very, very solid team. Okay, so we won 8 out of 11 down the stretch. And I told these coaches, I really believe that we were going to make that run and win that state championship again. I really did. I verbalized it to these guys sitting in the front row. And we went down the chest, and it just wasn't meant to be. And I said walking into that game that night, I thought that gym was worth about 15 points. Anybody agree with me? Nothing's a bad gym, but just the way it's set up, those old rims hanging off the wall, that's just old school with me. I thought that gym was worth 15. And the scouting report for you parents that thought we didn't know what the heck we were doing, all right, just so you know, put on the board that number 1 was the real fast left-handed kid, okay, the one that, like, when he caught the ball like this, he was at the other end. Okay, we said we want to shut him down. He was averaging 18, 19 points a game. And so we said we want to shut him down. And then 23 was averaging 15 points a game. He was the burly guy that Gavin had to guard. And one scored 16 and one scored 10. So how'd we get beat? Well, what was that kid's number 23?
12.
Made 8 threes.
Mhm.
Okay. On the board, I said, make somebody else beat us. And he did. Okay, I watched him for 2 games. He shot as many air balls as he had makes. Okay, but he made 8 in a row in his own home court and knocks us out. That's the game of basketball. That's the way it happens. And so walking out of there that night, I obviously I was disappointed that the run was over because I love these guys and it was a great season. But by the time I got to 71 that night, I just kind of said, Lord, thank you. Because it was a success. Because young men grew in the Lord. I grew in the Lord. I walk in here after 17 years of doing this, thinking I got it figured out. And I don't. Still got a lot to learn. He presented me with things this year that I've not encountered before. And challenged me. When it challenged me, then we challenge one another. We sat, circle, we talk about a lot of texts, a lot of phone calls. How do we figure this out? How do we help so and so? What are we going to do here? Okay. And some of these young men, we sat in rooms and we talked about things. And they grew. And listen, they didn't all grow maybe the way we want them to, maybe even the way you guys want them to. But I saw it. Okay, and it's about the journey. And you're going to get here 3 young men tonight talk when we're done. And that's a complete journey. Some of these guys are 2 years in, some are 1 year in, some are 3 years in. It's about the whole journey. Finish the journey with us, please. Because that's what this is about. We don't stop short. And before I start talking about these guys, I always I probably should preface this with you, Clayton, too. We're going to say some good things. We might say some challenging things too. All right. And I hope you guys know that we've been in the circle with these guys and they're not hearing anything that we haven't already said about them. Okay. And challenging them in practice. So if I say anything that's a little tough on them, they've heard it before. Okay. And they know we love them. So with that being said, I'm going to bring up Jaden Stupski. Oh, Jaden. Stop it. He still doesn't know what to think of me. Okay? He really doesn't. All right. If you turn around, that's the saddle that I rode on this year right there. Kick these legs down your trough. All right. It's a really good thing when you walk into your gym and you find this kid that you hadn't seen the year before. Like he wasn't with us in the summer. And I walk in and I see this. I hear about the Stupski kid all fall. He's been coming to workouts. And I walk in and I think this guy's like 6'1", 6'2". He's 180 pounds. He can shoot a basketball. That's what we call it. And I did recruiting. Okay, there's no NIL, no portal involved in this. He just showed up. I don't even know the exact story how he showed up, but we just call that manna from heaven when those kind of things happen. We'll take it. I always said the Lord's going to deliver. But Jaden is a freshman. Listen, I didn't know what to expect out of Jaden. I anticipated Jake was going to be a JV player most of the season as I watched the first couple of weeks, but it didn't take too long. We get about 6 weeks into the season, and James that 7th guy in our rotation. This year he averaged 4 points a game, 2.5 rebounds. He played 19 minutes a game. He's a freshman, and we got a rule that if you're going to come up and play with us, you're going to play. Okay, so most nights my goal is to get him 30-some minutes between the JV and the varsity. What I really love about Jaden is he's a high IQ basketball guy. He understands the game. He sees the floor. He's got a really nice shot. It almost draws rain. Okay, it's something like if he played at Tays Valley, he probably couldn't play at Tays Valley. Don't even think about going up there. Okay, but because you couldn't shoot in that gym because the ceiling's too low. All right, he's got this shot that's pretty, and the physics of it is when it goes up that high, it's got a better chance coming in anyways. Okay, and every time Jaden shot the ball, I expected it to go in. I really did. He's a good shooter. He's got some pretty decent handles. He's got to work on that. All right. And what I liked about him over the course of the year, he wasn't a great defender to start because he didn't know how to play hard yet. Was I after you every day? Pretty much. Okay, you gotta give me more, Jay. You gotta give me more. You can go harder than that, right? And then by the end of the season, he was starting to play at a level, okay, that requires to be a defensive person in our program. Um, but what I need a little bit more of, I need a little bit. And this is kind of goes back to the Clayton Ryan thing. Need a little more vocal. Okay, you got to bring it out. You got to find your voice because as this year you can stand and hide a little bit, couldn't you? You got dudes leading. Now next year there's going to be a higher expectation for you to lead. All this knowledge you have, you got high basketball IQ knowledge. Now you're going to have to speak it into existence. You got to teach guys. Okay, and so I call it's got to. I'm going to demand more fire in the kitchen, if you would. Right, and you know that I'm not going to let up on that, don't you? Okay, but I'm proud of the basketball player and the young man he is, James Stubbs. I got a certificate over there. Hold on a second, James. That's a turnover on Coach Reeves. It's only his first tonight. You don't have to stand up here, though, Coach. You can just stand there now, all right? I won't make you stand in the way Simon had to. You know what I mean?
I'm very awkward.
Plays over just walking, and he didn't even let Simon talk.
Yeah. There was no discussion before this. I thought.
Is it impromptu? Okay. All right, next guy up, Uriah Woodworth. This guy right here is a solid basketball player, but more importantly, he's a solid young man. I've looked forward to coaching this guy from the time he was in like the 5th, 6th grade when I was down at Edwards Middle School. And watching him practice with the elementary kids. Kid's got a fire to him. Okay, he's got a passion about who he is. He likes to play hard. He's a football guy. Okay, and I think he's a very good football player, but I think he can also be a really good basketball player. I know where his passion ultimately lies, but I think if I can get just a little bit of that passion, I think he could find out how good of a basketball player he can be. 5 points a game this year for us. He was a leading rebounder with Case Brewing. They both were 6.1 rebounds per game, and he played 18 minutes. And when he came in this year, early on, or the first couple of games or so, and even in the scrimmage, he was a starter. Okay, and we put him in that role, and then we get about a couple games into the season. We felt like we needed to make a little bit of shift. We weren't playing as well with 2 big guys in there. We had Yuri and we had Gavin. Okay, we needed a little bit more shiftiness. We need a little bit more ball handling. We need a little bit more shooting. And so that's when Judd Pollock came into the starting lineup, and he came off the bench the rest of the year. Okay, and when that happened, okay, he didn't like it. He was frustrated by it. He understood it. He understood it, but he was frustrated. The guy's always really, really hard on himself. Okay. And so that slowed him down a little bit in the month of December as he tried to adapt to his new role and try to understand what we were trying to do. And he really had to understand the game of basketball. This is the first time he played this hard and this long. But by the time we got to January 1, he really settled in. And he started to grow as a basketball player. His contributions became more evident on the court. His knowledge of the game, like he just play. He's kind of like Val in a lot of respects where he just play hard. And then he had to get the IQ piece there. You need to understand where you need to be and when you need to be there. We're always talking about, especially on the defensive side. And even on the offensive side, sometimes it's hard to play when you've got guys like Nate and Seth that have the ball in their hands. But you don't know where they're going to go. I don't know if you guys realize that. Okay, when Seth and Nate have the basketball and they're going to go score and you can't stop them from going, you don't even know where to go. Okay, you really just want to go get popcorn sometimes, do you, right? Right? You don't know. And you have to learn as a big guy, how do I play with those guys? Okay, it takes a while to develop a little bit of chemistry, right? But I hope you saw in the last third of the season, he was a difference maker. And his consistency of his work ethic throughout the season never changed. He just kept, it was like he was knocking a wall down. It was just one at a time, every practice. And I mean every practice. He didn't have any off practices, fair coach. He just did not. He kept hammering at it. We started working on some smaller details after January 1 offensively. Okay, he started to show. All right, he's got an extremely bright future here. He'll put some time in. I want him to work on his 15-foot jump shot and continue to work on his footwork around the rim. Okay, he's a rebounding force. And the reality of it is, next season he's going to take over Gavin Luden's mantle as the energy guy in this program. Okay, he's going to be the enforcer, if you would. He's going to be the guy that sets the tone for us physically on the court and lets other people know that we're enforcing it right. Yeah, you're right, Woodward. Case Bruni. Freshman. I like the way that sounds. Freshman. Okay, first year varsity letter winner. This guy surprised me this fall. So last spring, as he went through spring ball with Clayton, and I had the opportunity to go down to Ryan Grant we made Ryan Grant a team camp, and we stayed at the Super 8 motel down at Gallipolis, and I don't know if I'll ever do that again. They got sandpaper sheets that I had to sleep in. All right. Coach Doug said there was another hotel down there. I did see another one that looked a little nicer. We will, if we do go down, we're going to investigate that. Stay in your seats. I'm gonna tell you, that night I laid there. These guys were in the swimming pool and they were having a great time. But I was laying in that bed. When I'm 55 years old and I'm laying in a bad bed with sandpaper sheets. Anybody relate? Like, Coach Ray, I'm not staying in the Super 8 anymore. I'm gonna go broken Holiday Inn. Full feet in, and the nice.
Yeah. All right. Preach it.
Anyhow, so why did I say that? Because when I came down to Ryan and I watched him play, one thing that's evident about Case, you can see there's a ton of potential there. Okay, but he's young. Look at him. Okay, he's got a lot of meat to put on these bones. Not a lot of hair under the arms. Not a lot of hair on the legs.
What?
Okay, which is a good thing when you're 6'4". All right, I mean we've got a lot of growing to do. So it ain't even like enough to do. So I watched it, and he competed really, really hard, but he wasn't physically able to do what he wanted to do because he was going against juniors and seniors and strong sophomores. And when I walked away, when I drove home from Ryan Grant, I'm processing that group going up the road because that was my first real look at them. I said, you know what? He's probably going to spend a lot of time on the JV team, maybe most of the season. That was my take. And then he worked in the fall. Grew a little bit more. He probably put on 10, 15 pounds and he showed up in November and said, you know what? I want to play a little bit. He didn't say that, but his attitude and his work ethic and his consistency said that. Okay. And I think you guys saw that as he played. He averaged a little over 4 points a game. He was our leading rebounder at 6.1. He played an average of about 25 minutes a game. That's pretty daggone good. What I love most about him is he's coachable. He's got a really, really good attitude. I'd heard about his bad attitude. You ever heard that bad attitude from? That guy, he said, "Oh, you're gonna have a hard time with him." Did you guys not? Did you and your dad have that conversation? Coach Rose have a hard time with this guy. I'm gonna tell you what, he's been a model citizen today. I'm who's got bad attitude still, Lake.
That's right.
You're gonna struggle with him. And he's been A1A. He's worked hard. He's been coachable. When I get after him, it's yes, sir, no, sir, no reaction, no eye roll, no nothing. Take him out of the game. They might give a little bit to those guys, but he never has given anything to me. Okay. And whenever I pushed him, he responded. He responded as well as he could do for where he's at right now. That's what I'd like to say. Second half of the season, I think he settled in. He competed at a high level. He started to push himself. I could watch him out on the floor. He's like he was going to die, right? Like he couldn't go any harder, could you? That's what we're looking for. That's where you find out where you're at. How far can you go? How hard can you go? Right? He played his role. Okay, he was a solid rebounder. He struggled a little bit guarding the ball. Okay, because his puppies aren't quick enough yet. He's got to work on the puppies. Puppy's got to get some quickness. Okay, that's his dad's fault. It's not his mom's fault because lice are athletic. Okay, so that had to come from the birding side. It's just that clear. I saw yours, right? So you got to work on that. He's got to work on his feet. Fortunately, 6'4" and long. He can block shots. He makes things difficult on people, right? But he played his role on offense. He wanted to shoot more. Last year, the ball was in his hands all the time. He didn't get to shoot a whole lot because Gideon was doing all the shooting, right? Because once he passed it, Gideon never got back, right? Fair. He'd bring it up to get him in the corner, get him to shoot, but he handled the ball a lot. He had a different role with this group right here. He said, did you tell anybody you didn't want to play underneath? Did you say that? You did you? Okay. So what did we do to you? We pushed you in there a little bit, didn't we? Right? Got better. Okay, he's going to be really, really good. Okay, because he's going to be able to play out front, and he's going to be able to play underneath. Right? But he played a role that was uncomfortable. All right, and he probably thinks he should have gotten some more shots and all that good stuff like everybody does. Right, but he played his role and everything. And he's going to be really good if he will put the work in. The tool shed's full here. Okay, God has put plenty of tools in the shed. He's blessed that one. If he will put the work in, he could be a special player here in Pittsburgh. Next up is the guy that if we played one more game, one more week, would have to get a haircut, Seth Weiss. You can see what I'm talking about. Coach Grant's got no haircut policy, does he? No, he doesn't. I even joke, Seth, that see, when you're up here and I got the mic, it's just fair game. All right, I joke with my wife. I said, one of the things I'm going to get for Seth when I come, and I didn't do this because I forgot, is I was going to get you a call. I got one of those. Anybody remember those old, the flat top brushes where you take that, and you stick your finger in there and you do this? I still have like 3 of those back when I had a flat top. And I was going to get you one of those because they're not very big to put them anywhere. Right, come over here. Whole product in there. All right, so I'm done. Almost. All right, Seth's first year varsity letter winner, freshman. All right, again, like the sound of that freshman. Very athletic, very talented player. He's a natural scorer. You put the ball in his hands. If he's not thinking about scoring, it's going to be the second ball he's thinking about. Okay, he's worked on his game. You guys watch him. He has an ability to attack the hoop, get downhill on people. He's fearless. Okay, almost fearless to a fault. All right, he doesn't believe that there's anybody out here that can guard him. All right, this year for us, he averaged 13.2 points a game. He had 3.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.5 steals, and he played about 28 minutes a game. It's pretty good for a freshman. Okay, well deserved. He also scored 316 points in his first season. That's a lot. Okay, for a freshman. That's a good start to be the next 1,000-point scorer around here. And we can have 2 or 3 1,000-point scorers out there, you young guys. Okay, it's not just Seth. Right, we've got a history of 1,000-point scorers. Right, we have got 6,000-point scorers in 13 years. We've had 4 in a row. Now this is my alma mater, so I'm not picking one. I know I'm being filmed, but Taze Valley since 1963. You know how many 1,000-point scorers they've had? 5. We've got 6 and 13. Okay. We play good basketball around here. We have kids that can score the basketball. He's going to be one of the next. What I'm most pleased about with Seth is his progress in dealing with adversity, in dealing with his emotions, and dealing with how he reacts out there when things don't go his way. I can still see him over at Logan Elm, right down toward the end of our bench. He got fouled and he was sitting on the floor and he was so mad. All right, he said, and he just kind of screeched at me, I got fouled! They fouled me! I'm like, what? Okay? And I'm like, yeah, you probably did. You get up and let's go. You know? And he didn't know what to do with that with me. Right? And we had to have those conversations a fair amount, probably for the first month. Okay? And after that, he started to respond. Okay? He would you guys see him? Foul. Get back here and play defense. Snuff that. Okay? And then just gradually over time it lessened. Okay. And he would look at me and I'd say, yeah, I know you got fouled. Just keep going. All right. And then he just kept going. All right. And then one of my favorite comments that he made, Mom, you haven't heard this one yet. I think this was down at Ross. He was in the locker room and the fouls were lopsided that night. 16-5 was the free throws. If anybody wanted to know.
Yeah, sure was.
You got 4. we're in the locker room and Seth was talking to the guys and he said, you know what, guys? He said, I know the officiating was bad and I know that we all wanted to choke him out there tonight. You know what you said? He said, I know we wanted to choke out the officials tonight, some of us. Gavin, he said, but we didn't. And I went, I don't know if I should be happy about that comment. Okay. But the reality of it was he didn't react that way on the floor. Okay, we're in our safe space in that locker room, and it was okay to say what he said. Okay, because his demeanor was different. Okay, because he's matured as an young man, he's learning to deal with adversity. Number one thing we do here is learn how to manage adversity, and deal with our emotions. Okay, because we all get frustrated and down and out. Okay, and that's what number one. That's what you can score all the points you want for me this year. Okay, but what I'm most impressed is your maturity. Okay. Shot 37% from 3-point range. It's pretty dang good. That's a really, really good first year. Coach Ryan said 33 is where we need to be. Absolutely. Offensively, one of the things I want Seth to work on is I wanted to work on his stamina. I want to work on his strength. If he comes back with, I'll steal another inch if you'll give it to me over the summer, right? And if he puts 15 or 20 more pounds on his body right here and works on his game, it's going to be very difficult to stop. He's hard to stop now, but it's just not a lot of weight to him. Okay, wait till the weight kicks in. It's a little man strength to him. Same way defensively. Next year, you're going to draw tougher assignments. You're going to have to guard the tougher dudes. Okay, we're not going to have Nate Ames that body somebody. We're not going to big body Ames anymore over there. Okay, so it has to be big body Seth. Right, and you've got to be able to do that. You got to be able to go for 32 minutes and body people up. You've got to have that. Okay, that's how you get to the next level. But his ceiling's really, really high if he'll dial in for the work. Seth last. Also, it's probably one of our more vocal guys in the locker room too. As a freshman, freshmen don't talk except Cade. Okay, Cade's that anomaly. Okay. By the way, Cade, there's one thing I want to say. You get a chance between now and the start of next season. I want a voice over. Or I want you saying all the huddle breakdowns that you do, and I want you to record them for me, so that I can study, so that I can understand what you're saying. Like most time, Cade getting out, he said he's 1, 2, 3, and I didn't know what he said, and everybody else would say, and I go, what did Cade? What was that? That's the coach. Like, slow down so I can hear it. You know, we help you out. Cade, will you help me? I need some help there. All right. Next guy up here. Hey, what a good one here. Judson Paul. Come on up here, Jimmy. Love me some Judson Paul.
Me too.
Sure.
Third year varsity letter winner, senior, and a captain. You know, this year we didn't vote on captains. You know why? We didn't need to. We had 3, and that's what we rolled with. We had guys been in this program a long time, and they knew what was expected of them. One first thing I want to say about you this year, Judd, is you didn't lead us in technicals like you did last year.
That's not.
It sounded from last year, and it was said in there that you led the team in technicals, right? Which you had one, right? You had that one outburst you had to have, didn't you? It's one outburst for the 4 years that you said it there.
It was.
One thing about Judd is great. He's a model citizen. He's a model athlete. He's a model young man. Kid shows up listen, it's the same every day. He shows up, he works hard, doesn't say anything, he plays his role, he does whatever's asked of him, he competes his tail off, stays after practice for 15, 20 minutes, half hour every day. He impressed him. He impressed one to go home, he had to wait. Okay? He's a model citizen. He's a statesman. Okay, he averaged 5.5 points this year, 2.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.5 steals, played 23 minutes a game. What I love most about Judson is he understood his role. And there's a difference between understanding your role and liking your role. Most guys don't like their role, but they don't have that toughness or that mental toughness to play your role. Okay. Judson had to do the hard stuff this year. Judson had to start out the year on the bench. Okay. And the one thing about Judson, Judson may not love basketball. Okay, Judson has golfed. Judson has played soccer. When he comes into the basketball season, he's not in basketball shape. You're not in basketball mindset when you show up, are you? Most of the time, he's just not. He comes in, or it takes him about 3 to 4 weeks before he gets the train rolling down the tracks. And once he gets the train rolling down the tracks, then he's dialed in. But he understood his role on this team. He bided his time. He kept working, made it into the starting lineup. Okay, he's an excellent defender. He's probably the most technically sound defender we have in the program, as far as doing things the right way, being in the right spots. Okay, he's tough. He's tougher than nails. Okay, the only time he would get in trouble is when he had to switch on to somebody that was bigger than him. The only thing that held him back defensively was just simply his size and stature. Everything else was technical. Right? Offensively, I thought he really did a really good job of growing into his role. He handled the ball this year more than he ever has, and he handled the ball with confidence. I thought he was a difference maker in the second half of the season as somebody else that would handle the basketball that I had confidence in. Okay? He was an excellent passer. He would find the open guy. Excellent mid-range guy. Probably got the best mid-range game in our program. That's his best shot, is the one dribble off the baseline jump shot. That's what he does. It's good decision making. It probably what defines him the most. He's got this quiet heart about him, this quiet spirit about him. We're down at RCCA. And listen, he's a man of few words, and that's something that's going to have to change as you get older. Okay, as you walk out in this world, you got to find that voice too. You're a lot like Clayton in that way. Got to find your voice to lead. Okay, lead your families in bed. But we're down in the locker room at RCCA, and obviously we're disappointed for not winning that game that night. Things didn't go our way, and we sit around the circle and share like we normally do. And Judd apologized to the team for his shooting that night. He was frustrated that the shots weren't going in, and he had a spell there where the balls weren't quite going in the way he wanted them to go in. Okay, and he got emotional. And he shared with us, guys, I'm sorry. That's a champion right there. That's a guy. That's a leader. That's a statesman that took responsibility for where he was at. Wasn't necessarily right in that moment, okay, because you're working hard, you're doing everything you need to do, and sometimes the ball just doesn't go. But that's his heart. His journey is that of a statesman. Okay, I'm proud of who he is. I'm proud of who he's become. Right, and that's quite honestly, that's why his teammates see him this way, and that's why he's our statesman this year. Doesn't bother me. Gavin Ludens. Third-year varsity letter winner, senior, captain. Energy guy. Heartbeat of the team. He's our tough guy. He sets the defensive tone. Listen, I've always been a Gavin Ludens fan. Okay, I see a lot of Gavin. I see a lot of myself in Gavin. Gavin was that competitor. He was guys going to give max effort. He was guys going to give you a little attitude. He was going to give the other team a little bit of attitude. He was going to give it to you as a coach. And Gavin and I have had our battles throughout our 4-year journey. Fair enough. And the reason I love Gavin was because of that competitive spirit, and it was something that I played a lot like that. And I saw the things that I struggled with, and I see you struggle with, and I just kind of had a heart to want to help you change that. Okay, I was that guy that many of you heard me tell the story when I was a sophomore, or 5 and 16, and I took it. Wasn't happy about the way we were playing, the way I was playing, and came home and took my dress belt to my bedroom wall that was light blue, and had some black marks on it. Big Dave kind of tuned me up after that. I didn't do that anymore. Okay, but that competitive fire, what God gives you as your greatest strength, is also the one you'll take the shovel and dig your grave with. Okay, and I want Gavin and others like Gavin to know that God's going to give you some certain things, and that's sometimes what you'll use to cover yourself up. Gavin this year averaged 5 points, 5.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 2 steals in 28 minutes. There's some things that you can't see in his stat line, what he means to us. He's an absolute warrior. We expected him to set the physical tone every night. We expected him to guard the toughest guy. We expected him to give max effort. We expected him to be diving on the floor. And he did. And I'm serious. Like when he would come to practice the days after games, he looked bad. Can I just say that? I mean, how many times did I was laying against I'd sit over against the mats and go, man, Gavin looks like he's 40. And that's real legitimately how he was moving because he had played so hard. He had given his body, and he always plays that way. And again, that's another thing you got to learn to play smart too. Okay, hard's good, smart's even better. All right, you only got one of these bodies. You don't want to get to 40 and beat it all up. Think about it, okay? Especially when you're lifting weights. There's nothing to be won now by deadlifting like 1,000,000 pounds and posing, take care of the back. Yeah, but Gavin's one that he's a warrior. Listen, defensively, he's always had to guard the biggest guy. He's not big himself. Always accepted the challenge. A lot of times he just took his house and yeah, take it. And the one night that I thought he had one of his best defensive performances down at Green, I thought he really battled that kid from Green hard. You know how many points that kid from Green had? Anybody? Clayton? Remember? No.
Green?
Green. No, wasn't that much. 42? 39, yeah, it wasn't 40. It was high 30s. Okay, it was high 30s, and I thought he did a magnificent job. Okay, and he did, because didn't have anyone else could have guarded that kid. All right, and that kid earned every single one of those. All right, and we won that game, and we wouldn't have won the game had he not played that way. But he took every one of those defensive challenges like that. Offensively, this year probably wasn't what he'd hoped for. Fair enough. Okay, I think if you would sit down and talk to Gavin, he'd tell you that he'd want to have a bigger role as a scorer. But instead he had to clean up some rebounds, set some screens. The reality of it is Gavin probably could put some more time in working on a shot, couldn't he? Right? He knows that. And so he came into the season, he accepted the role that we gave him and was excellent at it. I could read his face some days of practice. He's like, I'm tired of running that set again. I'm tired of setting that screen, coach. Can we just get over it? I can see it. I understand where he's at. But he didn't voice it. Okay, he didn't whine and complain about it. It didn't affect how hard he played. That's that adversity I'm talking about. To overcome that for the greater good, he did it. What I'm most proud about with Gavin is his character development. Here's some of the things I wrote. This comes from some of my previous notes about him. I said in the last couple of years. So he's a tough kid, strong, he's athletic, he's stubborn, he's strong-willed, he's frustrated with his role. That's not this year. That's in previous years. But then he accepted it for the good of the team. He matured as a young man as this season went on. We had some battles early on in this season, he and I did. He came off the court frustrated about coming out, giving these guys a little guff as he went by him. I'm not tired. Okay? Maybe that's where I learned that. Never been. Okay? When a kid says they're not tired, that means you shouldn't take me out. You're wrong, coach. Okay? That's what that deciphers to. And we battled early. Then he settled in and understood that he needed to lead. That wasn't what we call leading. And what was probably one of his finest moments this year as we got toward the end of the season was some classroom time we were talking about, where he didn't stand up, but when we were done talking about attitude and getting better as a young man, he said, you know what, guys, he said, in the last few years, he said, I've gotten it wrong. He said, well, what they're teaching us is right. He said he used this, and you gotta quit. We talk about this a lot. You gotta quit looking about what's in front of you and start to expand your vision around you. Think about the guy next to you, not just what's in front of you. Don't think about yourself all the time. And he stood up and did that, and we just kind of we walked out of that room and go, that's what the season's about. The season's about those kind of moments when a light bulb goes on for a young man that realizes it's bigger than you. That's success. We'll go back to that success I was talking about. It's a guy like that. Developing his character. Gavin's sustained with. I'm proud of his journey. Listen, I don't care what sport it is. I don't care what it is that we've been going to battle with. He's going with me. Gavin Lewis. Daniel Ames. Fourth year varsity letter winner. senior and captain. Another young man that I'm extremely proud of his development. It seems like it was just yesterday. He actually got to play in the very first varsity game that we ever played when he was here. When he was a freshman, was down at Zane Trace, made a couple buckets that night, made a couple threes. Who did we play that night? Remember? Eastern Brown. Yeah, that was the night that we really liked Clayton Ryan. We come to know we were going to really love Clayton Ryan that night. We scored 38 of our 63. All right, but you got to play that game. Matter of fact, I think your dad sent me that picture after the game. Got a great career around here, and I'm proud of, but I'm more proud of the young man that you become. What most of you guys don't get to see right here is the soft spirit that he has. Okay, the loving heart that he has. You guys see a competitor. You guys see a guy that sometimes is so strong-willed out there that he just won't let up. Sometimes he goes too hard and he may take the wrong shot sometimes. Takes a shot maybe he shouldn't take. Because he just wants to win so bad. You guys see that competitor's heart that's in you. But I get to see the soft part on a daily basis. I get to see Nate Ames that's so kind and so loving. Okay. Soft spirit with a competitor's heart. That's a nice combination. Okay. There's going to be a young lady that got it from out there someday that's going to be very excited about that. Okay. It's making him a great husband. Nate Ames this year averaged 22.8 points, 4.7 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and played 32 minutes a game pretty much. Didn't take him out. Matter of fact, it was late in the season. When did you get 2 fouls? When was that game? First tournament game. I don't think he'd come off the floor. I couldn't even tell you when he'd come off the floor before that. He was over there. It was just weird. Like, what are you doing? Keep your hands to yourself. What, right? Well, it was, but when you play 32 minutes, you're never with us. You're kind of like Hunter Kavanaugh. You logged a lot of minutes this year. Listen, ask a lot of him this year and produced in spades. He had to mature a lot this season. Previous seasons, he was the 4th option when he was a sophomore. Okay, gotta stand in that corner and shoot, Gideon. Okay, find your spots. They're guarding other dudes. You're open, knock shots down. Last year, he's option number 3 and played it extremely well. Okay, got some dudes around him that could create, made life a little bit easy for him. They knew he was in the scouting report. Don't get me wrong. They were scouting, but when you had to go help off, he'd knock a shot down. Okay, averaged 15, 16 points a game last year. Okay, had a really, really good junior season. But now you're going to come into a season where you're option number 1 on a team that's young and inexperienced. A lot of you've not been option number 1 yet. That's hard. He had to figure out how to play as option 1. And he spent most of the first month, maybe 6 weeks, trying to figure out what does being option number 1 look like. Okay? Originally, on the front end, he thought option number 1 means I have to shoot it all the time and score all the time. Okay? We tried that and we didn't have a lot of success with that. We had some. Listen, he had to score the basketball because that's what we needed. He had to figure out how to lead. Didn't have to lead before. Gavin didn't have to lead before. Judson didn't have to lead before. He had to learn how to lead. That's hard, guys. As a senior, you got to figure out how to get others involved. You got to lead them. Then the other thing you got to learn how to do is defend at a high level. Okay? He could hide a little bit in previous years. He had some really, really good defenders. Not that he didn't play hard, but now you had to be lead defender. You had to be lead scorer. And then I had to ask him to guard your best guard sometimes. You didn't like it maybe a couple times. Be honest. Yeah. He would even maybe tell Coach Reed, he's making me guard so. That's what you're gonna do. You don't have a choice. Okay? But the cool part was he didn't like it. Then he did it and he responded. Again, that's what I'm talking about. Being coachable. Accepting the challenge. Overcoming your fears, overcoming your doubts, right? It was one of those he doubted, could I go that hard? Could I play that hard on defense and still be effective on offense? Fair? Yeah. And he learned how to do that. And he struggled early on, but he battled through. And then he had to learn how to succeed when the pressure was on him. When things didn't go his way, how is he going to respond? And I watched him grow over those first 2 months. And by the time we got to January, we learned how to succeed together. He learned how to get his teammates involved a little bit more. He learned how to have fun too. That was the other thing. In previous years, at first he would strike, things weren't going his way, ball wasn't going in the hoop, and he just shut it down. Like I call that parking a truck. He just parked the truck right in the middle of the game. Yep, stop, not going in, shut her down tonight. Okay. One of my favorite all-time stories, you guys heard me tell it, is when we were down at Cincinnati Christian his freshman year. Man, it was hard down there. We got smoked by 30. Okay. And he felt like three guys were guarding him. There weren't, but it felt like it. Okay. And that day he kind of parked his truck that freshman year. Okay? It was hard. It's a long season as a freshman. But I watched him say, you know what? He'd think about parking that truck, and now, no, I'm going forward. And by the time January came, he had learned how to have some fun when he competed. He would smile at me every now and then. He'd still give me some crap. Okay, he was walking by me. But what was really cool afterwards, he apologized to me. He said, "Coach, I wasn't the right spot there. I apologize. I'm sorry." He learned how to handle adversity. Learned how to manage defeat. That's what this journey is about. I'm extremely proud of his journey. The season highlights kind of look like this. Portsmouth Notre Dame, probably one of the finest scores I've ever seen a kid have. 29-20 with 5 minutes and 30 seconds to go. The game we're down, and the kid scores 21 points in 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty special.
Yep.
Most people won't score 21 points. He did it 5 minutes, 30 seconds. Special game. 1,000-point score. He took the most shots ever taken in a season here, 515 shots. That's okay. That's what was expected. He was our season leader in 3-point field goals attempt. I know you're shocked, 261. He was a season leader in 3 points made, 94, and he was 36% from 3-point line. Listen, you're going to shoot 36% from 3-point line. We're going to shoot 3-point. Well, let's shoot it. Okay, that's better than 50%. That's called winning basketball. Career statistics, he's fourth leading scorer of all time with 1,166 points. He's got the career most points in the game, 53 points in the game. 3-point field goal attempts, 566 for his career. He's made 190, which is 34%. That's most all time, 194. And all those stats are great. Yeah, that looks good on a piece of paper. But I'm impressed with the maturity. I'm impressed with a young man I could sit down and have dinner with and carry on a really good conversation. That's what it's about. Okay. And these seniors have become that. Okay, they're special young men. But well done, James. Well done. All right. So now we're going to allow our seniors. This is my favorite time of the whole night. Let's allow our seniors to come up and to share what God's put on their heart. I give them a little bit of guidelines. Okay, I want to give them something to start with, but they know that the Spirit's free. Whatever the Spirit takes them is I want them. This is the culmination. This is the what do we call that? It's the senior project, if you want. Your thesis. Come on.
Capstone.
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 I'll go there.
It really is. And I called these guys tonight on my own because I sent them a message on, I don't know if it was Monday or it was Sunday, and kind of gave the guidelines, and none of them responded to them. You know, so they don't have to talk to me. Okay? Now, I don't dictate playing time anymore. They don't have to talk to me. They didn't respond. I didn't get a thumbs up. I didn't get an okay. I didn't go, got it, coach. Got nothing. So I got thanks, you guys ready? Oh, yeah. They're all ready. Judson, matter of fact, Judson said, I'm just sitting here practicing, coach. Or when I sent the message, you said you were almost already done with it, right? Okay, so we're going to hear from these guys. I told them I'm excited for what God's going to share through them to you guys. First one up is Judson. What's up? You want to talk over?
It's a break. Don't stare in those.
Lights are kind of.
Right.
Hey.
Yeah.
Pull the mic down.
I'm gonna be doing things a little differently than.
There you go.
So things are gonna look a little differently than what you guys might be used to. Um, I've had this on my God's put this on my heart like for most of the season. He wanted me to talk to you guys about leadership, talk to the team about leadership and what that looks like to have a servant-minded leadership. So really, Coach had sent that message out. And I'm reading through this message. I'm like, I have nothing what he said to put in on my paper. So, all right, here we go. So, kind of take this as the fourth one of those messages that the pastors had come in and given us throughout the season. So that's what this is. So there's leadership in being a sheep. A sheep leader listens to the shepherd. Real leadership starts with listening to Jesus before trying to lead anyone else. Best leaders aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who are the most attentive to the voice of God. A sheep leader strengthens the flock. Even as sheep, we influence each other, encouraging a teammate, lifting someone up when they're struggling, showing integrity when nobody's watching. Those things guide others towards the shepherd. A sheep leader makes room for other sheep. Sometimes the strongest leaders are actually the ones who step back. When you're gifted, capable, or experienced, it can be easy to take the lead every time. But kingdom leadership sometimes says, I'm going to create the space for someone else to grow. Mature leaders don't always have to be the one in front. Sometimes they quietly say, I see potential in you, step forward, I'm with you. Throughout scripture, God often raises up the unlikely person, the one no one expected. Think about David, the youngest shepherd boy, overlooked by his family. God loves to bring forward people others might miss. We see this in 1 Samuel 16, when Samuel was about to anoint David as king. It says this, when they arrived, Samuel took one look at Eliab, who was the oldest brother, and thought, surely this is the Lord's anointed. But the Lord said to Samuel, don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. The Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart.
Amen.
Samuel, God's top guy at this time, almost got it wrong. The world influences our view of how leadership looks. Worldly leadership focuses on appearance and status. Eliab looked like the leader. He had the age, the size, and the position as the oldest brother. Everything about him matched what people expected in a king. Worldly leadership often asks, who looks the part, who has the most authority, who commands attention. But God passed Eliab by because Christ-centered leadership begins with the heart before the platform. Worldly leadership protects reputation and image. Christ-centered leadership pursues obedience. When David begins asking questions about Goliath, Eliab becomes defensive and criticizes him. Eliab seems more concerned about appearances and maintaining order than confronting the giant. Worldly leadership often says, don't rock the boat. David, however, sees the situation through a God-centered lens. He isn't trying to prove himself, he's responding to the dishonor against God. Christ-centered leadership asks, what would honor God right now? Worldly leadership resents unexpected leaders, while Christ-centered leadership trusts God's choices. Eliab represents the leadership people expected. David represents the leadership God raises up. The kingdom of God repeatedly works this way. God chooses the overlooked, the unlikely, and the humble. David wasn't even invited when Samuel came to anoint the king, but he was the one with the heart God was looking for. Sometimes the person God raises up isn't the one standing in the line of leaders. Sometimes it's the shepherd still out in the field. When worldly leaders, when worldly leadership says, "Look impressive, protect your position, question those who step out," Christ-centered leadership is saying, cultivate the heart, trust God's calling, and be willing to step forward in faith. Coaches, when the world is elevating the Elliots, the strongest, most obvious, most naturally talented, God is raising up the Davids, the overlooked, the quiet worker, the one who has been faithful in the field when nobody was watching. So, coaches, here's your challenge. Look beyond talent and pay attention to the character. Notice the athlete who encourages teammates when they're down. Notice the one who works hard when no one is applauding. Sometimes the most powerful leadership moment is when you call something out in one of us that we didn't see in ourselves yet. You may be the one who says, "David, step forward." Teammates, you may not be the loudest voice, the biggest presence, or the most recognized player on the team, but that has never stopped God from raising up a leader. True leadership isn't about being the star of the show. It's about helping the whole team succeed. David was just a shepherd boy, and God saw something greater in him, a king. And here's your challenge. Lead with character when no one is watching. Serve your teammates even when you don't get the credit. Encourage others instead of competing with them for attention. That is what servant leadership looks like. Don't spend your life trying to look like Elliot. Spend your life developing the heart of David. Because while the world looks for the most impressive player in the gym, God is looking for the heart that he can trust. So I guess I'll just that was the end of that. So I guess I'll just end with giving out one thank you to my mom and dad. They didn't write any of this, but they did help me with the research and kind of the flow of the message because I've never done this and I don't really know what I'm doing. I still kind of don't know what I'm doing, but I also want to thank them for making me play basketball and golf, and soccer, and for the thousands of dollars that they gave just so I could do something that I love. Thanks for the way that you raised me to be a sheepdog and to stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves and to serve others with a humble heart. God really wanted to make sure there was no excuse for me to not fall in love with him when he decided to give me you two as my parents and mentors. Thank you. Love you.
Next up is Nathaniel Williams.
Okay, well, it's kind of tough going up after that. It's okay, I'll do my best. I'm definitely like Clayton when it comes to this, but I'm in a capstone class right now, so it helps that I have to do this. So, for starters, I want to thank my coaches, and I want to start out with Simon. During practices, me and Simon used to go at it a lot because he always wanted me to push hard and not really like get frustrated when someone's trying to pressure me really. So I just want to thank Simon for that. I want to go on to Dougie. Or if you're OGs, you know him as Mickey Mouse. I don't know if Lane remembers that, but I just want to thank Doug. I think it was the first tournament game. Doug asked me how my relationship with God is, and during that time, it was pretty. It wasn't that great, to be honest. And then when Doug asked me that, I started to lock in a little bit more, and I'm still trying to. But yeah, I just want to say thank you to Big Doug. Mm-hmm. Oh, Tim Bob. Tim. I want to thank Tim. Me and Tim, were also going head to head a lot this year. But it's also because I also stayed at his house almost every single day during the summer the past 2 years before that. And this year he really just wanted to help me. He wanted to help me for the future, for next year if I decide to go play basketball or not. He just really likes to push me and wants to see me succeed. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. Clayton, Clayton's my guy. Also freshman year and sophomore year, Clayton, me and Clayton used to hang out a little bit. So it was also nice getting to hang out with one of the top dogs here. Made me feel a little special, you know. But I just want to say thank you. Especially, I'm not gonna go into detail what was said after. What's the what's the game that we lost? Chess game. But what Clayton said, like, genuinely made me feel like just amazing. And so I just want to say thank you for that. Laner, I played with Lane my sophomore, junior year, and freshman year. But Lane really pushed me a lot, and it helped a lot too because he's all 6'7", 6'8", which is always nice. But Lane's always been there, and he's just helped guide me too. And then I'm gonna go to my OB1, Shane Rose. He calls me Young Jedi, but I just want to say thank you. You're my guy. If if I need any problem, or if I have any problems, and I need anyone to talk to, then Shane's my guy. And then I want to thank my parents for all the time that they spent and money that they spent for me, for one, my education, and two, for sports, obviously. And but yeah, so I just want to say thank you guys so much for that. All right, valuable lessons. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned is definitely from this year, taking the new leader role, um, and trusting others and like trusting my teammates. Because I'll be honest, going into this year, I was pretty terrified. You know, I didn't know how this year was gonna go. I didn't. It's not that I didn't think we were gonna be great, but obviously our years prior, we had three back-to-back championships. But it was just a lot, and so it was it? I think it was after the Logan Elm scrimmage when we had a coaches meeting. We talked about how um I need to learn how to trust some of my teammates because if I didn't, then it was going to be a pretty long season. And after that, it really helped because I started to open up more to my teammates, and I started to trust them. And with that trust, we ended up going, what was it, 8-13, coach? 13-11. It's pretty good, you know. So yeah. And my advice for the team, I'm gonna give you guys two words. Sorry. And then I'm gonna go into detail, and I'm gonna start with number one, chemistry. We have to start building chemistry in the off season, and that's one thing that I feel like I should have worked on more, and something I did not do as much. I felt like I should have had more people come over, stay at my house, or to a basketball game, or to anything, just so we can build that team chemistry. And that's on me. But the thing is, you guys still have another year. So that's my challenge is just go out, build more chemistry. So then going into that next season, you guys are already going to be closer than before.
Yeah, that's good.
And then my second word is, it's not really, it's two words, but it's work ethic. Um, if, hold on, let me run that back. If you guys do not have a work ethic in this off season, there will not be any change. There has to be some sort of work ethic for you guys for New Hope to continue to succeed. You have to push yourself as hard as you can, and even more than that, just for us to succeed even more. Okay. But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
A little bit taller.
First of all, I just want to start by thanking some thank yous. I'm gonna hold this. Okay. First of all, I want to thank the Lord above all else. He's taught me a lot through going through this season, and the health and the opportunity He's given me to work hard. It's all by His grace that I was able to succeed this year. That we were able to succeed. So first of all, I want to thank Him. Second of all, I want to thank every single one of you guys that came out to the games, packed the stands, whether we were in Portsmouth, whether we were here, just all over. There's no better feeling than looking up in those stands, seeing people that are supporting you, cheering for you. That is vital for team success. And thank you guys for making that happen. Next, I want to go into some thank yous to the coaches. Big Dave's not here. But I want to thank Big Dave. He's always been an encouragement to me and the reminders to be thankful for the moments that we were having. Whenever we were playing at some like really cool school like North Adams or Portsmouth Notre Dame, he'd always come up to me and be like, "There's a heck of a gym to play in, boys. A lot of history here, a lot of history." And it was just always a reminder to be thankful. Like, well, I get to play here, just like a lot of people before me. Next, Coach Simon. Sir, you've been a steady voice this year in my life. There's a lot of times I came out in a timeout or off the court after getting subbed out, and I was pretty hot headed as I was a lot. And you would just always be there to remind me to keep my head, stay in the game, stay focused, and I want to thank you for that, sir. Next, Coach James, you my guy, sir. Thank you for being there for me day in, day out the last 4 years, even back to 6th grade when Nate and I started playing together. Specific moment I remember from this year was against High Street. We were here. I had to guard big 5th-year guy. That was really hard. The dude was fast. The dude was talented. The dude was big, and I held him to like 8 points to the last
illegal
quarter. So that was pretty cool. But I got my 5th foul when I was trying to go for a foul, and I came off, and man, I was a mess because I had invested my everything into that game. And Coach Hugh caught me and took me in the hallway, and just let me cry for a second, and told me it was gonna be all right. And you did that a lot of games, and so I thank you for that. Coach Lane, sir, you can ask my parents. I look up to you a lot, like a lot. I was teammates with Lane for 2 years before, and then the summer I was able to work with him for Rose Bros, and we developed a friendship. We started hanging out a little bit, lifting together, hooping together. I beat him one time in 1-on-1, but just like to say that. But Lane, I look up to you a lot. I talk about you a lot. You're a model of a young man that works really hard and is a stand-up young man. So thank you for the friendship that we have. It means a lot to me. Coach Clay, I want to say thank you for always showing me where I can improve my game. Always bring that basketball IQ that sometimes I lacked. Sometimes I'm just go player, not really understanding what I'm doing. And you always brought that to me, and I want to thank you for that. And Coach Clay and I ref together here at Upward on Saturday mornings, and we've had some fun doing that in the past 3 years. And I appreciate our friendship and the leadership you've shown me. Coach Doug, back there. Coach Doug, I want to thank you for just being a dude that's real with me. I mean, I can talk to you about anything. We love the same music. We always be vibing together in the car. I just want to thank you for always being there to talk to, always being there to just ask me how life's going. And it's easy to get caught up in win, work. And Coach Doug, you're there to kind of slow things down and just really help us remember this. It's just a game, and we're here to have fun. I love you, sir. Coach Tim, we've been through some interesting times ever since I was in 6th grade out there at Ted Lewis Park, getting sacked by Lane Reeves, your son. as a quarterback. I can remember those times.
Flag football.
Yeah, well, no, it was like I played football too. It was both. It was both. Um, but I've known you for a long time, and especially this year, I think our relationship grew to a very much deeper level. You would make sure I had my head on straight a lot, but it wasn't. And sir, you always told me what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear. And then you would love me up afterwards, and that was so important to me. So thank you. Lastly, Coach Rose, um, sir, I don't even know where to start when I was writing this because you you've truly meant so much to me in our relationship that we've developed over the last 4 years. Um, through the car rides, taking me down to Portsmouth, Notre Dame, all the different Portsmouth schools. I thank you for those, and we've had some real conversations. We've had some tears, and we've always been real with each other. I want to tell kind of a funny story about this year, and don't worry, we've talked it out. But in our last home game here, I had to guard that big kid, and the whole week we'd worked on that. When he got me down the post, somebody would come backside and come around and help me out because the dude was big. And I think we did that maybe one time that whole game. And I got like my third foul, and I came out after trying to dive around him like I did, and I fouled him, and I came off, and I'm complaining as I'm walking down the bench, and I'm like, Coach, nobody's doing what we were talking. Coach, what the heck? And he turns around and looks at me and says, Gavin, shut up and sit down. And I was like, boom. Don't worry, he apologized after the game for that. But I don't think he had to because I was being a complete jerk. But there was a lot of interactions like that we had, but then it was always followed up by loving me up. And so I just want to thank you for everything you do for this program, and more specifically, thank you for everything you've done for me. Next, my teammates. It's been a ride this year, boys. We all know that. It's been kind of crazy. But I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for pushing me in practice this year, making me better, making me a better leader, better young man. Specifically, I want to thank Judd. We've developed a pretty cool relationship the past few years, playing soccer, playing basketball for a really long time. Um, as you guys know, I'm a pretty emotional player. I play with my heart, and Judd brings that level-headedness to me that he's always there to smile, to crack a joke in the middle of the game, whatever I needed to be. He was there for me. He had my back every single game. And he brought that calmness that I needed as a teammate and as a fellow captain. Next, Nate, you're my guy. Dude, you're my best friend. I don't know what to say, but kind of something that nobody really knows. Everybody's seen Nate and I always going places with each other, always hanging out. Truth be told, until about freshman year, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and freshman year, Nate and I hated each other. I mean, we could not stand it. I hated the kid. And it was because we were so competitive. We couldn't look past our competitive nature and have a friendship. We just wanted to beat each other at everything. And we let that just dominate everything. I went to school with him, and it was rough some days, to be honest with you. But especially this past summer, we really bonded, hung out like twice a week, opened up to each other, and I think everybody can see that on the court. We always had each other's backs. We had a chemistry, and that's what I would encourage you guys to develop with your teammates. Nate, thank you for always being there with me, always calling me after games, practices, talking about when we need to do better, and I love you, bro. Next, I want to thank my grandparents who aren't here tonight, but I just wanted to thank them. They live in West Virginia, and almost every single stinking game, they're there watching me ever since I was a little kid and upward. I mean, they come support, love on me, text me about the games, and when they couldn't come, you bet they're texting me to call me after they watched it online. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Next, I wanna thank Pastor Nate. Sir, you would text me a lot. You would talk to me on Sundays after the games, and you have no idea the impact that meant to me, especially after chess. After I was a Mets, I came out and you caught me, gave me the biggest hug. And I just want to thank you for your encouragement, the steady voice you've had in my life these past, especially this year and the past 4 years. Lastly, I want to thank my mom and dad. Thank you guys so much for the the sacrifice that you guys have made so I can play the sports that I love and basketball. Thank you for always making sure that my attitude was in check, first of all, that I represented our last name and the name of Christ well when I'm playing. Thank you guys for making the sacrifices, making the drives to Southern Ohio. Thank you guys for always being there. I don't even know what to say because there's so much I could thank you guys for. But I love you guys more than anything. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this journey. I love you guys. All right, next. Now I'm done with that. It's just some lessons I've learned and what this program has meant to me. First of all, hard work. But everyone always says hard work pays off, and it does. Don't get me wrong. But similar to what Coach was saying, I don't think it always pays off in how we wanted it to, how I wanted it to, especially this year. This year, all I wanted to do is stand up on this stage and give my senior speech and talk about how we four-peated this year. Obviously, that wasn't in the cards for us. Despite the hours and hours of practice I put in and the team put in, that wasn't the outcome. And that still is challenging for me to accept even today. I mean, I still wake up weeks after the season's over and just think about that and think about it. But that doesn't mean that the hard work we put in and you guys put in went to waste at all. Except I think it's all the more so brought out. And I will never forget that if you want to be successful in something, you must work hard for it. You must give it your all. Next, I learned discipline. If you want to be successful in life, you must be disciplined. You must be able to use self-control in the heat of the moment. All of you have seen me play, like I said, and you guys know that I get pretty involved, and it's the same way in practice. You can just ask Uriah when we're doing box out drills, and we're throwing each other around like it's Oklahoma drill in football. I mean, we're like hurling each other. It was crazy. But I get pretty involved in practice and in games. But especially my senior year, I learned how to harness my emotions, shut my mouth, and work hard. Even when I got my fourth foul, fifth foul, because some kid flopped in the fourth quarter and I got pulled out. It was this year was a teaching for that to learn how to harness my emotions. Next is fortitude and handling adversity. This year was not always easy. In fact, it felt like every single week of practice, there was something else we were dealing with as a team. I remember 3 days before our first tournament game, we were running sprints in practice because we were going through the motions. Coach Rose had enough of it, and we're sprinting up and down, up and down. And I can remember there were multiple times that Nate, Judd, and I had to take the team in the locker room and give them a pep talk and chew their butts a little bit. But even in those moments of adversity, I believe that as a team and as captains, we never quit, never stopped chasing success, we never stopped chasing improvement. Lastly, something that this senior year especially taught me. There's a season for everything. There's a start, and there's a finish. There's a first day, there's a first last day, and then there is that dreaded last day. This year, I learned to enjoy every moment through and through. Every single time the starting lines were announced and you could hear the cheer of the crowd and your name announced, I enjoyed that. Every single time somebody hit a big bucket and we celebrated, I enjoyed that. Every single time that we would celebrate the win in the locker room, I enjoyed that. I learned to enjoy it all. And I've been playing basketball ever since I can remember, ever since I was a little upward kid that couldn't even dribble the ball. And now that's all gone. But I'll always look back and remember Coach Rose dumping up water on us in Vince County's locker room after we got that big win. I'll remember all the happy moments, but maybe most importantly, I'll remember crying in Coach Rose's arms at Chess Academy after we lost my last game I'll ever play. I'll remember that ultimately, above all, at that last game, the undying support from my teammates, that every single one of them came up to me and thanked me and gave me a big hug. And I'll never forget these moments, these valuable lessons and memories that I have, and I'll hold them dear for the rest of my life. Lastly, I just want to give some advice to you young boys. First and foremost, savor every moment. Every moment you get to play this game. Never take one practice, one game, or one shot for granted because it's going to be over a lot sooner than you realize, and you never know what's going to be the last. Work as hard as you can day by day. But don't just work hard for your own game, guys. Work hard to make your team better. Work hard to support your teammates and work hard to bring the team to that next level. And most importantly, above all else, my advice would be in every game you play, uphold the name of Christ. Because any abilities you've been given the opportunity to work for have been given by Him. Here at New Hope, we play under the Christian banner. So everybody's going to be watching us that much more. So every single game you have from now on, I want you to play your guts out. I want you to give it your all. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I want you to know that you kept your attitude in check and represented New Hope Christian Academy and ultimately the name of Christ well. Again, I want to say thank you to each and every person that came out and watched the games this year and supported me. I'll never forget my time as a statesman here. Thank you, guys.
Not too bad, huh? I hope you all have something in your lives where God's using you. The Great Commission is to therefore go. Therefore go and share the gospel with others by the way you live, by what you say, by how you do things. Hope you find that spot. If you haven't, keep looking. The Lord is so powerful. He changes lives when we're obedient. I think it's what you kind of saw here at the end. Saw some young men that have been obedient in their households, have been obedient with us here in the court. Allow the lessons of the Lord to be taught. You can see it coming out, can't you? It's impressive. Okay, it gives me hope. Okay, it also gives me encouragement when things are hard. Just keep going. If we just keep 1 Kings chapter 19, Elijah was right after Elijah had called down the fire from heaven and then burn up the altar, burn up the offering after he poured all the water on it. And then he killed the 400 prophets of Baal, 450 prophets of Baal, and Jezebel was coming after him. And he ran away. Then he went out into the wilderness by himself, and he spoke to the Lord and said, I just want to die. I had enough. Life gets hard to feel that way sometimes. I had enough. The Lord comes to you in those moments and said, he came to him and he said, I want you to arise and eat. And we looked up, there was a jar of water and some bread on the coals. When it gets hard, just have to take the next step. Keep going. Because the Lord needs you for somebody else, Judd. Just like you said. It's not about you, is it? It's about the way you affected me. It's about the way you affect your teammates. It keeps inspiring people to just arise and get up and go one more day. Okay, because of the young men that you guys are. So I'm here. I know the Lord will release me someday. It's a sad day. But can't do things forever. Okay? Season for everything, right? Okay, whatever seasons God's got you in, let's just do it. Make a difference. Anybody else want to share? Anybody got anything you want to say tonight before we close? Never want to let the Spirit not work. Just because I've talked too long. Anybody? Spirit's moving. Anybody want to share? Okay, let's pray.
Hey, Coach, really quick. We have something just for the coaches from the New Hope family. We just want to give to you guys. Thank you guys again for all your support. So, for you guys.
Let's give thanks. Gracious Heavenly Father, Let's come before you humbly. Well, thank you for your provision of this season. Seems like it just started the other day. For the journey that we've walked together, challenges we have faced, successes we have been able to also enjoy. You've used this journey to grow us. And I'm thankful for the journey, how you've been able to continue to change my life, continue to help me to mature in you. Thankful to how you've moved in these young men sitting in front of me. I see their growth, see their potential. May you continue to push them. May you give us the right words to say to them. Lord, I want to pray for these parents out here. It is not easy. The journey that they walk, trying to raise young men and young women, hard. Pray that you give them the wisdom and the courage. May they work together with one another. May you provide the words that they need, the scripture that is needed, that they can pour into their children. Or may us not take a day of this journey for granted. May we just enjoy this moment here today. And we just always stay focused on the moment that's in front of us. And we not miss the divine appointments that you have scheduled for us tonight and for tomorrow. Lord, give you thanks and praise for all that you've done through us this season. In Christ, we pray.
Amen.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
I've got papers that I've got to get to every single parent and some for every single kid. They deal with the pre-school basketball workouts that I ran in the fall. I've got a list of questions that I need you to answer. I'm doing a 10-page research paper. I got to submit to school. And,
19 credit hour.
20-minute presentation that I've got to do. So if you could answer questions on that, you can take a picture of that and send it to me. I've put my phone number on it. You can email, you can do whatever you want to get it to me, but I'll hand it over.
Okay.
Thank you.
I got you. You want to?
Yeah. I wanted to